So good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to this virtual Board of Registration of Hazardous Waste Site Cleanup Professionals virtual meeting. Today is June 9th, 2020, and I'd like to call to order this meeting at exactly 12:31 p.m. I am delighted to welcome Mass Commissioner Martin Suberg, who has generally set aside time to meet with us today to address the board and also provide for room for conversation and discussion with regards to any issues that the commissioner wishes to raise, as well as the board members and the executive director. So with that, Commissioner, kindly take the floor.
Thank you, Millie, and thank you everyone for being here today. I really wanted to be here first and foremost, and it's a theme I'll return to a few times, to thank you, the board, for conducting your business, and to thank you for conducting your business under very difficult and unprecedented times. I have always had a great appreciation for this board as well as other boards I deal with. I do and have done recently a fair amount of work with our boards of drinking water operators and wastewater operators as they've been dealing with their communities as we all try to respond to the COVID crisis. And so it only heightens my appreciation for the work that you're doing and will need to continue to do as we move forward. I'm here to make sure that you're supported. I appreciate the fact that we are doing this meeting virtually. I'm also here to acknowledge that I spent a lot of personal time making sure that this meeting would go off properly, that you would be able to conduct the important business of the Commonwealth without interruption. I am aware that in April, there was a terrible, they call it Zoom bombing event. That's, I think, still too benign a phrase for the ugly behavior that took place that you had to experience. By all accounts, it was an ugly and disgraceful interruption by individuals trying to disrupt the work of a Commonwealth board. I wanted to say personally, as I've said before, that I'm sorry to Beverly Roby, who had to endure those ugly words and those ugly phrases and those ugly sentiments that are never, that we speak just so much hatred and racism. I'm sorry that Millie Garcia Serrano had to hear those ugly words thrown at her. I'm sorry that all of you board members had to experience it. I'm sorry for the Commonwealth that a meeting was interrupted. Those words and sentiments expressed were ugly then, and the events of today underscore the ugliness of that kind of sentiment, that kind of behavior. And I vowed that after that, we would make sure that this meeting would take place successfully and that the professionals you all are would be able to conduct your business in an orderly fashion. I will also say that at Beverly Roby's request and with the full support of the Secretary's office, we are investigating that April event and trying to determine who's responsible. And I'm hopeful that that effort will be successful. We worked to set up a secure platform for today. This is one that I'm familiar with. I've used it myself in other forums. We have multi-state meetings where we have a number of participants, and this forum, this particular platform seemed to work well. It may be that you feel that other platforms will work better and be, less restrictive. I'm open to that, but again, my main goal was to make sure that you conduct your business and you conduct it without the type of interruption that took place in April. And so if we need to refine, as you know, DEP is the administrative host of the Licensed Site Professional Board. You're an independent board within the Secretariat, but we provide the administrative support. We will work with the executive office's IT program to find a platform that works for you. But again, security and the ability to conduct your business is paramount. because you are talking about and doing important things. I wanted to thank Victoria Phillips and Chris Borges for helping get to this point, and for Chris, who's moderating this discussion from a technical standpoint. And I will just note briefly that it's probably important that we're figuring this out, because again, it is possible that there will be other virtual meetings. As you know, DEP and most of our secretariat and much of state government continues to work remotely, and this will go on for a while. Our governor is taking a very careful approach, making sure that the hard-fought progress we've made to reduce the number of cases of illness and reduce its spread is not lost. While we are thinking about approaches as we move forward, caution is going to be the watchword. And so it is possible that you may decide that, for your next meeting, a virtual meeting may yet be in order, or circumstances may yet suggest that that is the best way to proceed. So we will continue to advance our learning about the best technical approaches. And again, for DEP for a while at least, and the staff of the board working remotely, working electronically is certainly going to be the case. We will obviously provide lots of notice, if arrangements change, but we did want to highlight that. Again, I want to say thank you to the board. I know you have a lot of business, so I shouldn't talk too much longer. I know you have an education committee that has business to do before the full board does its business. I want to once again thank Beverly Roby for her work as executive director in putting this meeting together. I want to thank Millie for chairing and for being somebody that is, dedicated, and I know this from speaking to her, dedicated to keeping the work of the board moving forward. As we move forward, I know there is concern, obviously, not only with the COVID pandemic, but also the related economic downturn. I know there are questions about what does this mean for budgets, state budgets, because there are 2 vacancies on the board. I have committed to Beverly, I have committed to Millie that, as has been the case in 2019, we are holding both the budgetary funds and the FTEs so that you can hire an investigator and hire a general counsel, and we will support that effort. We will continue to make that a priority, even as the economic situation and the budgetary situation moves forward. We understand that it has been a long time and that you are eager to see the board fully staffed, and we will do our very, very best to make sure that you get there. In the meantime, we'll also support you in other ways that we can, whether it's IT or either through platforms for meetings like this. We've worked with the board and other boards. If you decide that there's information you'd like up on your website, our IT folks can help do that. There's been a lot of information that our agency has put up on COVID. And so as we move into the next phases of how we do work in these unprecedented situations, we will be willing to support you there. I will say that we are continuing to work as DEP as an agency. There are a number of initiatives that, while COVID had our full attention, we are continuing to move forward, whether it's PFAS in drinking water, where our 21E program at the end of 2019 made rule changes, or whether it's progress on climate change, progress on solid waste and recycling, as well as looking now in light of recent events about how we do business both externally and internally to make sure that everybody has the benefit of our programs, and that if there are things that need to be updated to address burdens on communities, that we are looking at those issues as well. So we will continue to be active. We will continue to be involved, and I am more than willing to and eager to hear from board members, from the LSP community. If not today, then at other times. We're open for business, and we're going to do our best to continue to serve the public. So with that, Millie, I'll stop there.
Thank you, Commissioner. And at this time, I invite the board members and other attendees to this virtual meeting to address any questions or comments that they wish, as we're very fortunate to have Commissioner Suberg with us this afternoon. So I open the floor to the board members, and please identify yourself.
Either people, oh, there's Farouk, okay.
Thank you, Commissioner. That was nice words, and we really appreciate it.
Great, thank you, and thank you for people continuing to do their, working in difficult circumstances in this time of pandemic.
Not so fast, Commissioner. This is Beverly, of course. I just wanted to ask you to address how difficult it's going to be for us to reopen our physical offices. I was talking before you came on a little bit about the governor's mandates in terms of opening, and how DEP is working on a plan to open safely and in accordance with the governor's regulations, and how each DEP office, regional office, varies in terms of the work that has to be done to make it safe.
Right, great question, Beverly. Thank you. And it is, as I noted, we're still working remotely for the largest part. We have certain emergency responders who have to be out in the field. We have some lab personnel that are, performing critical work related to sampling efforts. But even there, it is a minimum number of people. A lot of attention, paid to social distancing, hygiene, not having too many people near too many other people. That goes for the case, sometimes when people need to come into the office, to get a file so they can continue to work on something or pick up the mail. Even there, we have been extremely conservative, to make sure that we don't have too many people in the building at once so that people are too close together. And also mindful of the fact that hygiene is going to be important, cleaning of common surfaces and other protocols. So when we move forward, all of that thinking and then some is going to have to come into effect. This is not just an issue for getting somebody's feedback there. This is an issue not just for DEP, but it's really all of state government. And as you indicated, Beverly, it's going to be very data driven. People are going to continue to look at the latest medical information and the trends. We're going to have to take very detailed looks at the facilities we're in. Right now, as generally speaking, office space requirements would say no more than 25% of people in an office at any given time. You have to think about a lot of details related to that, because, if you have 25% of your people sitting very close to each other, that's not a helpful thing. So spacing, in some cases, if you need barriers, depending on what the layout is, are there barriers that you need to put in place to, preserve distancing, hygiene, protocols about, what to do if somebody suspects that, they might have been exposed to somebody. There are a number of factors. There is a secretariat-wide team starting to look at this in concert with the health officials and others, and with the human resources department of the state government. And so it's going to be a stepwise process, and there's going to be a lot of detailed work. So it will, again, I think that it's going to be a while before we're back in our office in any, certainly not in any way that resembles what happened before the outbreak of this. But we will also use all of our communications ways to make sure that people know where we are.
Yeah. It's going to be a journey, I think. Okay, that's helpful. Other questions? Comments for the commissioner?
Right, if external parties, non-board members wish to speak, now's your opportunity to ask a question or give a comment to Commissioner Subert before he leaves the meeting. Okay.
Well, if there are none, my invitation remains, and you can find me. I'm easily found on email at martin.suberg@mass.gov, and I'm also happy to pursue further conversations. And if the board finds it helpful, I'm happy to come back anytime.
Great, Commissioner.
Marty.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you for
this
being here.
Thank you. And at this point, I'll sign off and let you do your business. And once again, thank you for everything you're doing.
Thanks, Marty.
All right.
Bye.
Great. Well, thank you very much. And I just want to make sure that we do a quick board member check to make sure that everybody's still online. Beverly, if you don't mind facilitating that. If not, I can just read down the roster, make sure that we have everyone.
Oh, yes, thank you, Millie. That actually is a good suggestion because we need to know everyone who's on the line. So, Millie, of course, Farouk is on the line, Mark is on the line, Gail is on the line, Deb Listerdick, David Austin, Jamie, Kurt Franklin is on the line, yes? Hello? Is Kurt on the line? Kathy Campbell.
Yep, I'm here.
All right, thank you. And Greg is on the line, I'm sorry. Right?
Yes, Greg is here.
Okay, so we have a quorum. I did want to note the names of the others on the line for the minutes. I don't know quite how to do that unless you just everybody just kind of spells their name out. If you could try to do it one at a time so I can catch it. Hello? Hello?
Is this Kirk?
Hello?
So are you asking the public people to speak up because they're only on listening mode?
Yeah, no one and none of the attendees can speak.
Right.
Okay, so I'll have to sort that out for the minute. Okay. Before I turn the meeting over to David, excuse me, I just wanted to run through the requirements for remote participation in a meeting. pursuant to the open meeting law, there should have been a handout. There was a handout in your packet from the Division of Open Government pursuant to the governor's March 12th, 2020 order. We can hold remote meetings. We just have to provide adequate alternative access, which is what this GoToWebinar is doing for us. We have to meet the 4 requirements of at the start of the meeting, the chair has to announce the name of the members who are participating remotely. And I think we've already done that. All votes must be taken by roll call. You have to identify yourself and the way you choose to vote. Everyone on the line, the members of the public body, the board members, have to be audible to each other and to members of the public. And I think our practice session established that. And other than that, we're all set. And unless there are questions, turn the meeting over to David.
Right. So Beverly, this is Millie Garcia Serrano. I just wanted to note that this meeting is being recorded. We are just re-emphasizing that.
Yes. And for some reason,
I'm calling the continuing ed committee meeting to order. June 9th, 12:53. I don't need to announce the names of the members. That's been done. Everyone can hear me?
Yes.
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 Okay. So on the agenda, we have a request for CEU forms for a course, and we have 15 courses to consider for approval. Anyone else want to add something to the agenda? Okay, so the first course that's up for approval, an LSPA class, remediation of heavy metals. It was a 2 technical credit, and it was going to be in person, and it was moved to a webinar online course, and it had a previous course number 1657. So I'm making a motion that it gets approved under the new format.
I second that. Mark Richards.
If there's no discussion, we can take a roll vote. So who's leading the roll votes? Beverly, or am I doing it?
No, you can do it to avoid confusion, David.
Okay.
And I just, we agreed we would go in the order listed. If you just give me a second, my computer went to sleep, so I'm just.
Okay, so if you're in favor, you say, if you're in favor, you say yes.
But we can go down. If you call off the name, I will record it. So
I will.
First person. Okay,
So
go ahead.
if you're in favor, you say yes. So Mark.
David, I apologize. This is Millie Garcia. Can we be sure, not sure if there are any public comments on this particular LSPA course, but I can, we need to make sure that Chris monitors the incoming chat messages.
Yes, I'm looking at the questions.
So there's been no questions, correct?
There's one question. I'm sharing my screen, so you should be able to see the question.
I don't. Does it pertain to this course offering?
No.
Okay, so we're going through the roll call voting. Mark.
Yes.
Deb.
I thought you were going to go down the list that's on the screen.
I am.
Oh, Millie was the first one, wasn't she?
She is.
Might look different to different people.
Okay. All right. Well, it matters just that we get the vote. So, okay, Mark, you said?
Yes.
Yes.
All right.
Deb,
Mark,
Yes.
David Austin, yes. Gail,
Yes.
Kathy,
Yes.
Kirk, no vote. Jamie,
Yes.
Farouk,
Yes.
Greg.
Yes.
Okay, the second course at Mass DEP audits lesson
I'm sorry,
learned.
did Millie vote? Yes?
Yes.
Sorry, Millie. Yeah, we'll start with you first next time.
Yes. Okay. All right.
Sorry.
Mark voted, we're going to get a little faster as we go along, but initially there are going to be these hiccups. Mark, yes. Deb, yes. David, yes. Kathy, yes. Shane, and Smith, yes. Farouk, yes. Greg, yes. Millie, yes. For number 1, approved.
Correct.
Very good. I'm all set.
Number two on the agenda, Mass DEP audits course. It was an online webinar, and they're requesting 1.5 DEP credits. I make a motion to approve it.
Second, Kathy.
Craig.
Any comments from the public? Type it in now, please. Okay, we'll vote. A yes is approving it. Millie,
Yes.
Mark,
Yes.
Deb. Deb, did you respond?
Yes.
Okay, sorry. David says yes. Gail,
Yes.
Kathy,
Yes.
Kirk, Jamie.
I don't think Kurt is on the line.
Okay.
I
Jamie?
got your yes, Jamie. I got your yes. Excuse me.
Okay. Farouk,
Yes.
Greg.
Yes.
Okay. Moving on to item 3, another Mass DEP course. This was a really good one. NEPD's RGP. It was an online course, a webinar in the past. They're requesting 1 regulatory credit. When they gave it, there were 282 participants. It was excellent. I make a motion to approve it.
This is Kathy, second.
Any comments from the public?
I would just like to see if Chris can continue to monitor any.
I'm monitoring it. Yep.
Yep. And
I have the question bar open so that when somebody submits a question, I'll see it right away.
Okay, great. And at the
Okay,
end
so
of,
roll call. A yes is approval. Millie,
yes.
Mark,
Yes.
Deb,
Yes.
David, yes. Gail,
Yes.
Kathy,
Yes.
Jamie,
Yes.
Farouk,
Yes.
Greg.
Yes.
Okay, that's approved. Item 4, LSPA LNAPL, NSED, 1 hour, requesting technical credit. It was online. I attended it. It was a great class. They have random polling questions throughout, so you pay attention. I make a motion for it to be approved for the 1 technical credit.
Jamie, second.
Okay, before we vote, any comments from the public? So we'll go through the roll call. Yes is approving. Millie,
Yes.
Mark,
Yes.
Deb,
Yes.
David says yes. Gail,
Yes.
Kathy,
Yes.
Jamie,
Yes.
Farouk,
Yes.
and Greg.
Yes.
Okay. The 5th course is an LSPA membership meeting in June, and they're asking for 1 technical credit. Like their other meetings that were held successfully online, this one will also be online. Make a motion to approve it.
Second.
Any comments from the public?
Nope.
Okay, roll call. Yes is approving it. Millie?
Yes.
Mark?
Yes.
Deb?
Yes.
David says yes. Gail?
Yes.
Kathy?
Yes.
Jamie?
Yes.
Baruch?
Yes.
And Greg?
Yes. David, you
Okay.
should probably check who seconded that motion. I don't think they stated their name.
It was,
I thought it was Millie who seconded.
Yes, Millie Garcia Serrano seconded the motion.
okay,
Okay.
thank you. The next one, item 6, Midwest Geosciences Group, for 2 technical credits each, 3 parts, various technical topics, webinar format. I noticed they didn't have any form of evaluation proposed or any kind of attendance, like random polling questions to verify attendance.
So, David, this is Beverly. You're saying there was no assessment of learning for
I didn't
questions,
see anything proposed. I didn't see, the proposal wasn't as robust as other ones that I've seen for these webinar ones. So I suggest we send it back and tell them to redo it and provide that information, or if I just missed it and someone else has an opinion, let me know.
and so what is the further information that we need, David?
They need to tell us how they're going to verify attendance, and are they going
Okay.
to ask for a evaluation at the end?
And the assessment of learning. Right?
Yeah, got it.
Correct.
So hold on. Verify attendance and the assessment of learning. Okay, for number 6, got it. And are you going to take a roll call vote on that?
Where we're asking them to revise it, do we need to do that? I'm not clear.
Excuse me, this is Debbie. I had a question if the board members feel like the technical depth of these courses is robust enough for LSP technical credits. I thought it was.
Sorry, Debbie, you said, is the technical aspect robust enough
Yes.
for LS
Well,
or math? Yeah, robust
this is
enough for math.
Gail. Oh, sorry, Beverly. This is Gail. I think it is because I can point to any number of people who don't know some of those issues.
Okay. I as a
I
non-editor,
agree.
I'm asking my
Good
question.
refresher too. So do we have to take a vote on it, or it's just sent back to them?
Well, you're not really voting right now, so I'll
Okay.
just send it back and you can vote. We can move on. So number 6 is being returned to the provider for further questions. So it's tabled.
Yes, please.
This is Greg. Could I ask a question?
Yes.
Of course.
I was in looking at this, I didn't see much of a distinction between the 4 different short courses. So I think they should include some description of what's in those courses. It doesn't have to be lengthy, but some way to distinguish them. I was going to ask the same question that Deb did. Not the validity of an ethics course, but the why there are 4 different ones and what's the difference between them.
Okay.
So
Why? Why
That's a
4?
different course.
And
I think that's a different course.
Wait. Yeah,
That is a
that's the
different
next
course.
one proposed by them.
So this one has 3 parts, and we can also ask them to provide some more details about how the 3 parts are different.
Well, Dave, they the information that they provided, they're basically very beginning or the fundamentals of hydrogeology in here, and they do look like they're their own particular subject matter. The question I think you asked is, do they have the evaluation of learning, assessment of learning, and that sort of things that we require for approval. But other than that, I think the course content, to me, it looks like they're distinct enough.
Perhaps I missed the content. I just saw the listing of the names of the courses. So the only distinction was the name of the course. Was there a description that I missed?
Greg, are you talking about the ethics courses or the ones on soil borings?
We're working on number 6. We're discussing
Right.
number 6, Midwest Geosciences Group, taking the mystery out of the subsurface series. 3 parts.
So Greg, there was 2 parts, and the second part that came in with that request is 192 pages. It's basically the course material.
I apologize. I was mistaking that for the ethics discussion.
Yeah, that's number 12, and we'll have fun with that one.
Yeah,
I apologize.
Yeah. I agree. Okay, so let me just get for number 6. The course is tabled. It's being returned to the provider how they're going to verify attendance, to add an assessment of learning. And Greg, strike what you said about the distinction between the courses.
Yes.
Okay. All right, you're saving that for number 12. Okay, I've got it. So those are the 2 questions. Course number 6 is tabled, and there's no vote until you get all the information.
Okay, so
Yeah.
number 7 is a Midwest Geoscience Group, Hydrogeology of Glacial Deposits series, 5 parts, 9 credits total, and it's an online course, technical. I make a motion to approve it.
Does that have all the same things that you just questioned about the other one?
I must have seen it because I said approve this, but I'm looking at it right now.
It doesn't make sense. Yeah, it doesn't make sense because I don't remember either. That was last, like, whatever time ago that I looked at it.
that was on sent with the April material.
It just seems odd that it seems odd that they would have included it here and not included it.
It doesn't have what it was lacking in the last one. That's a good point. And so we should table it and tell them to revise it accordingly with those 2 same questions.
Okay,
3
so
questions.
I'm sorry. Discussion.
Dave, as you know, because I thought I saw something in there, so I went back and I looked at it. What they said in a very fuzzy way. They talk about the technical credit will be ability to competently perform, supervise, and coordinate the technical contents. And I'm not sure exactly. They don't provide any details about it, but they do say something like that.
Well, I don't want to pick apart between the 2 and compare it. Let them clarify the 2 and put it back in their court.
Sounds good.
And make it explicit. I mean, they need to be explicit. So they just can't say, we will do this. They have to say how.
Yep. So that will be tabled.
So number 7, Midwest Geosciences Hydrogeology is tabled for further information. Specifically, the board wants to know how they're going to verify attendance, and you want to see an assessment of learning. Is there anything else?
The evaluation. I didn't, right, David? That was what you said in the first one.
Right. They're going to do a course evaluation.
Assessment of learning. I think, Beverly, for assessment of learning, I think we have a very specific criteria in the regs. You may want to just send it to them.
You got that all, Beverly?
Just a couple more seconds and I've got it. The questions are the same for numbers 6 and 7. How
Yes, same provider.
how the provider will verify attendance, a course evaluation, and an assessment of learning. And Gail has asked that there be a description. I'm sorry, Farouk, the regulatory description. All right, I've got it.
Okay, so item 8 is Geopractical Intro to New England Hydrogeology. It was a class format, course number 1607, and the request is to move it to an online course format. I make a motion to approve it.
Farouk seconds.
Any comments from the board or the public? So we'll go through the roll call. Yes is approving it, the new online webinar format. Millie?
Yes.
Mark?
Yes.
Deb?
Yes.
David's a yes. Gail?
Yes.
Kathy? Kathy?
Sorry, I am a yes.
Jamie?
Yes.
Farouk?
Yes.
And Greg?
Yes.
Okay, number 9, same situation. Class moving to a webinar format. I make a motion to approve it for the 6
Jamie
credits.
seconds.
Someone second it?
Yes, Jamie.
Jamie seconded it. Any comments from the public?
Nope.
Okay, roll call. A yes is approving it. Millie?
Yes.
Mark?
Yes.
Deb?
Yes.
David is a yes. Gail?
Yes.
Kathy?
Yes.
Jamie?
Yes.
Farouk?
Yes.
And Greg?
Yes.
Okay.
David, it's Mark Richards. The agenda says 1.6 technical credits. Is that a typo?
Yes, it's a typo. I'm going by the 5.75 rounded up to 6.
Okay, so where are we? Which
Course
number
one.
are you talking?
Course number 1590A. Number 9 on the agenda list.
Which is
Okay,
4 technical
number-
credits, Dave.
What?
It's a 4 credit, right?
That's a typo
Yeah.
too.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I actually have it on my screen. It's an 8-hour. It is requested.
Wait. Hold on. Introduction to.
I have number 8 listed as 8 technical credits. Number 9 is listed as 4 technical credits.
Oh, groundwater is 6 credit. You're right, Dave.
So I'm looking at the request from Brian from April. We request 6 hours credit for this course.
It is
For
6.
number 9,
For number 9, and you add it up, and it is, I think, 5.75, so 6 is appropriate. So there's typos elsewhere, but the actual request says 6, and that's what it got approved for.
Well, you mean it's already been approved once?
Correct. Approved for the online version.
Well, the only problem I have is why are we rounding up? I don't think we've ever done that before. Should be just whatever it is.
Okay.
No, actually, I think we online. Do you still have lunch breaks and 15-minute breaks?
No,
If we don't do that anymore.
Well, not if they don't have them, if it's a
No,
direct.
because this was a physically present course and which had that 15-minute break in it, and that's why it adds up to 575. Does that make sense?
Well, yes, and so that would make it less than that.
So I don't want to have an endless debate about 15 minutes, 0.25. What do other people on the board think? Do we approve it for 5.75 or 6?
If it's the same course and the same content, it was previously approved for 6. I think we should just stick with 6 personally.
Can someone
But I
confirm?
think that's because you allow, well, yeah.
I think the fact
We can
of the
ask-
matter
we
is
can ask-
we're providing. Go ahead.
This is Mark Richards. The previously approved 6 hours already accounted for the breaks. So an online session, it should be 6 hours of content.
This is Millie. I really agree as well. The class course taker should not be penalized because it's online. We're looking for substance and comment and the learning content.
Okay, so it stands as it was approved for online version 6 technical credits.
And that is
item-
number 9.
That was
That
9.
is
Yep, we're
number
on.
9.
Yep, number 10 now.
So I
Okay.
just updated the
Now,
document.
do we,
that you can see on my screen. So it says 6 technical credits for number 9.
okay.
Yeah.
And did we vote on that one?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes,
For
it
the 6? For the 6 or the 4?
was for the 6.
Okay.
And then Mark mentioned the 5.75, which was good to get that aired. The next course, number 10, Midwest Geosciences Group. It's a class at Westchester University. This was also a typo, but it looks like it's a 16-hour course. So wouldn't they be requesting 16 CEUs? And it's proposed for Monday and Tuesday in October.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the decimal is a typo.
Okay.
Yep.
So
It
I
is.
make a motion to approve this for 16 hours.
Or second
McBride,
that?
second.
Someone second it?
I just have a question before we go into the voting process. Do we feel comfortable with the technical content as it pertains to equating to the 16 technical credits? And has someone taken this course before? Just wondering about their experience relative to taking the course taker through the fate and transport, and particularly for the fractured rock.
I thought the content looked relevant.
Mm-hmm. And now is this, pardon me, is this online or actually physically the party would have to travel to take this course?
It's in person at Westchester University in Westchester, Pennsylvania, over the course of 2 days.
Mm-hmm.
Any other discussion? So we'll do the roll call. A yes is approving it. Millie?
Yes.
Mark?
Yes.
Deb?
Yes.
David is yes.
Dave, so in their request, they sent it to us, request asking for 1.6. They really should fix that, get it back to us, and then we'll vote on it. That's how I feel. Otherwise, I cannot say yes. It is not our typo, it is their typo, and we are interpreting that. If that is a typo, I'm not sure.
And actually that, it makes a good point, because you know how other people calculate CEUs differently than hourly? They calculate an 8-hour segment as 1.
Yes.
But haven't we fixed others where they counted up wrong and then we just went ahead and approved it for the right amount?
Well, usually
Well,
it's not going up. We do that when the number should be downgraded. I
Well-
don't know if we raised it, but go ahead.
Here's my question. Did we just count that up? Because I'm trying to find it now on my online thing and figure out which one it is. But the reality is, if it wasn't a typo, they really asked for 1.6. It could mean because it was like 12 or whatever number of hours. So I just wanted to find it and just count it
Yeah,
up.
what they say, this is what they say somewhere in there. Is the duration of the course consisted of 16 hours of instructional time. That's what it says.
Okay.
With an
All right.
hour lunch each day and a total of four 15-minute breaks, so which is consistent with what we usually see. Thus, we
Right,
propose
Okay,
16
so
contact
then,
hours.
Jamie's right. It's just a typo. Okay.
Right.
And it sounds like they provide enough detail to show that the intent was for 16 hours.
Right. It makes
I would
sense. A
concur.
Monday course.
So Farouk is a no.
No, I'm yes.
Okay.
Okay,
and
I'm
then
sorry.
Greg.
Can we go, Kathy? Kathy was a yes. I stopped at David. Yes.
Gail, Kathy, Jamie were yeses. Farouk is a yes,
Okay.
and Greg needs to chime in.
Okay.
Greg is a yes.
Okay, that's everyone.
Thank you. Okay. All set.
Moving on to number 11, an EBC, Emerging Contaminants PFAS seminar that was held back in February. I attended it. It was probably one of the best I've ever been to for PFAS. And they're requesting 5 technical credits. I make a motion to approve it.
This is
Second,
Millie.
this is Kathy.
Mhm.
Matthew seconded it. Any comments from the public or the board?
I just want to break in here real quick. So far, I've gotten no specific questions on the courses that you're going over, but I do have 3 general education questions, and I figured I would save those until the end. And I just wanted the people who are asking the questions to know that I see their questions, and then when you guys wrap up the, I think it's appropriate that when you wrap up going over the individual courses, we can ask the general questions that deal with, may or may not deal with specific classes, if that makes sense.
Yep, that's perfect. I just added that to the list.
Okay.
So we're on to number 12, Midwest Geosciences Group,
Okay,
4
well,
webinar.
Oh,
I don't think we
okay,
roll
did
called
we
11
finish?
yet.
We didn't roll call out. Jamie, go
Oh,
ahead.
sorry,
Yeah, I was
number
going to say
11.
the same thing. We didn't roll call 11 yet.
Yeah, so a yes is approving. Millie,
Yes.
Mark,
Yes.
Deb,
Yes.
David is a yes. Gail,
Yes.
Kathy,
Yes.
Jamie,
Yes.
Farouk,
Yes.
and Greg.
Yes.
Okay, that's approved.
Okay.
Thanks for reminding me that we didn't do the roll call. The next class, number 12, Midwest Geosciences Group, 4 webinars, each 1 technical credit online. And boy, geoethics, that is fascinating. And macroethics, I don't think the other ones have anything relevant, but it'd be great to hear what other folks think.
Well, far be it from me to complain about an ethics course, but it does have to be ethics related to our profession. And I'm not really sure how they apply directly to LSP work.
Right.
I would certainly agree webinar 3, I can't do that one. And I think I'm uncomfortable on the face of it because it isn't straightforward how it applies to LSP work.
So we could ask them to resubmit for the webinars that we actually think may be applicable.
Yeah.
So specifically number 12, you're tabling that course,
Well,
and are you
wait,
looking?
actually, Gail gave an opinion. Does anyone else have an opinion?
This is for, I don't think it applies at all. And, you know, we can ask for them for more information, but I don't think, you know, this is something that meets our guideline for LSP related profession.
So based upon.
Well, we don't
Based on
know.
your-
I mean, I think we need to see that if they think it does.
I think we
Okay,
just
please.
reject it in whole and say you're welcome to resubmit with better explanation of how it fits into MCP LSP world and work.
Right.
Yeah, this is Greg. This is obviously the one I was talking about before. And I could imagine that geoethics within our discipline, whatever that is, could apply, but it's not clear from what they've provided. So they really need to provide something that relates to the LSP profession itself. As you go down the list, I think it gets further and further afield, and I think they'll have a hard time making that case, but we should certainly offer that to them.
Right.
I think
This
we're
is
all on the same page with that.
Yep, I just wanted to offer a comment that as it pertains to I guess the topic or title or introduction of this theme, I was looking for a nexus or parallel with MCP regulatory citations that talk about false and misleading statements, anything along those lines, but I could really see no nexus there.
I mean, the difference is, you know, we've certainly done ethics courses since I did them, and they're certainly applicable if you talk about it in the context of the decisions that an LSP has to make. And I think
Agreed.
that's the difference.
Agreed. And just the potential, I guess, just the resulting consequences of inappropriate, data management or false and, signing off an opinion when, just that's how you basically get into a situation with an LSP board referral.
So I make a motion to reject it, and they're welcome to reapply with further explanation on how it benefits our field and what we do.
Right.
Do we want to take a roll call vote on that, or just?
Need a second?
Now, it's tabled like the other courses, is that right?
Well, the other courses, we were okay with the content. They just didn't have some of the administrative stuff, like attendance verification stuff. This is more, the content is really questionable.
Okay, so you want me to, is it tabled? Is it?
I think the motion is the motion is to deny.
Right.
And
unless they can provide additional information. At the present time, the motion is to deny.
Okay, so before we go through the roll call vote, the present time, the course is denied approval because why? Insufficient nexus to MCP work or hazardous waste site cleanup. Okay, yes. Course denied. Okay, because of insufficient nexus and to MCP and hazardous waste site cleanup work. Sorry, I'm taking notes. Cleanup work. And you are going to have to take a roll call vote on the denial.
So that's the motion. We need someone to second it.
McBride, second.
Second.
Okay, it's been seconded. Any comments from the public? So we'll go through the roll call. A yes is rejecting it. Millie?
Yes.
Mark?
Rejecting it.
Yes.
Deb?
Yes.
David, yes. Gail?
Yes.
Kathy?
Yes.
Jamie?
Yes.
Farouk?
Yes.
and Greg.
Yes.
Okay. Item 13, PFAS and Mass DEP course, 2 Mass DEP credits online, regulatory credits. I make a motion to approve it.
Farouk seconds.
Farouk seconds it. Any comments from the board or the public?
My comment would be that this is time critical, given that Mass DEP is poised to move forward with regulatory, with reg package that will be going out likely in the fall or the end of the year.
Okay, for the roll call, a yes is approving it. Item 13. Millie,
Yes.
Mark,
Yes.
Deb,
Yes.
David is a yes. Gail,
Yes.
Kathy,
Yes.
Jamie,
Yes.
Farouk,
Yes.
and Greg.
Yes.
Great.
David, this is Millie. If also for Beverly, if I could just correct my record to state that the regulatory package in the fall or end of the year is relative to the drinking water regulations. That already, this package has already come, basically the information that was presented in course number 13 has already come to pass, and what's on the horizon, it deals with the actual drinking water package, the MCL.
All right.
Okay, so
Um,
item, yep. Item 15 is one that we got today. It's a request for a bunch of go-to webinars. Each one's a different topic. Each one is 1.5 hours. They started in April. And at the bottom of the request, I didn't study it. I don't know if they're doing any kind of random polling, keeping track of attendance. They talk about a sign-in sheet. And then the other issue I had is that in some of these, where is it? Telemetry systems for in-situ groundwater monitoring is repeated. So it's the same content in multiple workshops.
okay. So number 14, we're talking about the Enviro workshops, as David said, that you just got today. This actually went to Richard Friend, so I'm wondering, are you going to break it down? Are you going into each workshop, or are you just going to reject it?
I'd like to hear from others. I'd like to hear from others, but I think the titles of the workshops is content that's applicable, and I don't necessarily need a lot of details more on that, but I think we should reject it and tell them to not repeat the same subject matter in multiple workshops. For instance, in situ groundwater monitoring, telemetry, and maybe provide some more details on evaluation, assessment, how they're going to keep track of people on an online webinar. And they talk about sign-in sheets, but this is not in person.
And they need to provide bios for the presenters.
They do.
They have that.
Oh, sorry, it wasn't. Did I get that?
Yeah,
sorry. Well,
yeah,
but I think
they were attached. The credentials were listed as number 5.
Right.
So here's my thought. We've approved these people for doing these presentations in person. I mean, in general, these guys. So doesn't it just all boil down to how they're keeping track of attendance, how they're going to do an assessment of learning, and their evaluations?
Yes, and don't repeat
Okay.
one topic in
And
all the
don't repeat.
workshops.
Right, right.
It's that easy.
Okay,
So
so-
I would reject it and tell them all of those things.
Okay, so number 14 is tabled, and you're looking for an attendance record. Excuse me, specifics about maintaining attendance records, assessment of learning, and evaluations. Now, David, I'm less clear on your comment about the same subject matter being in more than one course.
I'm looking at it right now. 1, 4. There's another one down. So 3 of them all have this Ted Whitteman presenting telemetry systems for in situ groundwater monitoring. So it's
Okay,
the same subject as in
so
4 different workshops. So they can only have it in one, or they're gonna, or tell us that it's actually different content for all 4.
Yeah, so
okay.
I just got a comment from one of the attendees, Matthew Hackman. He just said, I took these and they did track attendance, and some webinars were repeat topics, but different presenters. They included evaluations.
But how they do
Okay,
the
but they-
assessment of learning?
I know, but we can't, I understand that that's Matt's comment, but they didn't submit it to the board.
No,
That's
I'm
good.
just relaying the
No,
comment.
I got it, Chris. I got it. You're just reading Matt Hackman's question. Got it.
It's good feedback, and but it doesn't change what we have on paper here. So
Yeah.
it's an easy fix for them.
Okay, so David, back to your the telemetry system cannot be in more than one workshop.
Unless
It's
they can tell us that each one is doing something different, which I highly doubt.
Okay. So is that the only one, the telemetry one?
That's the only one that I saw repeated between all the workshops, yes.
This is Debbie. Can I make a comment? Well, if somebody just took one of those courses, then it would be fine. It's just when they took more than one. So it can be the same as long as somebody's not asking for credit for taking it.
But we'd have to assign a different course number to each one, so it would be impossible to track. And that's not the only repeat, by the way. Enhancing microbial is on there more than once as well.
Okay.
Okay. Hold on. Let me get Jamie's comment. Enhancing microbial. I see it, Jamie, under the Wednesday, April 22nd. Where else is it?
The 29th.
Hold on. It's in, okay, enhancing got that. Is it any place else?
Oh, wait a minute. I'm sorry. It looks like the 22nd or the 29th are identical. So that would just be one course, I guess.
Okay.
Yes.
Oh, I see. So it's 2 days of the same course. 2 different days of the same course. Two different offerings of the same course on different days. Okay.
Right.
So I guess the question would be to have them present their request with specifically the courses that they're asking for credit for, and making sure there aren't any repeat topics between them. Does that make sense?
Correct. Yes.
Well, most of them have already been given, so it's going to be a little hard for them to change.
Good point. They can request credit for ones where there's not the discrepancy.
Right.
They've all been given.
Right, but
So we may not be able to approve them.
Well, ask them to, well, there's only so much they can do. I mean, they've been given, it is what it is. And we should theoretically be able to approve ones that are different. And it's only the ones that have the problematic repeats that we can't.
They can tell
Okay,
us
well,
out of
there's
the four,
only,
Oh, they can't do the assessment of learning.
out of the 4 workshops that have the one topic repeated, they can maybe tell us which had the most attendees, and that's the one that we'll hold that has the telemetry system topic, and the
No,
other 3.
except that they can't do the assessment of learning. It's already been done. It's already been given. Oh, they could send it out to attendees. They could tell us how they do an assessment of learning. Past tense.
No,
If a course does not meet our requirements, and if that includes assessment of learning, then it does not get approved.
I agree with Farouk. I mean, it's too bad that it's already happened, but it's already happened. This is Debbie.
Well, then they would know for the future, so we should let them know. For the future, that's what they would need to do.
okay, so what? Okay, so what's denied and what's approved, and how do you want me to approach it?
I
They
don't
all
think
have to
anything
be
can be approved.
denied. Based on that, they all have to be denied because there's no assessment of learning.
So,
Unless they can tell us what it was.
Liz, can you read Matt's comment again? Was there an assessment of learning?
Yes.
Okay, so they just would have to show evidence of that.
Okay, so what am I doing with this course
So
in Viro? So what do you, is it tabled? Is it denied? Is it?
Well, we've tabled stuff that we thought the content was good and they just need to clarify stuff. We've denied stuff that we thought the content was no good. I don't think we're questioning the content on this. However, there are discrepancies and subject matter repeated. I think it's easier just to reject the whole thing and tell them where the flaws are, and they can choose to resubmit if they want.
Well,
Sorry,
why
David,
would
you were muffled. I didn't get.
You mean table, not reject. Table or reject?
I don't want to
Deny.
reject. Yeah.
I think they should be rejected because they don't meet our requirements, and then they can resubmit it with adequate information.
No, that's table. That's tabled.
No,
That's what we've done with the others. With the others that have similar situations, we have said we agree with the content, but you need to provide this information, and we tabled it. So in this case, even though they've already happened, they can tell us how they managed each of those items that we want to see.
I think that's a fair approach, and I basically would like to at least offer that as a pathway.
Okay. So it gets tabled, and they get feedback from us on how they can improve their submittal.
Okay, so this course is tabled, and I'm talking about Enviro, which was number 14 on the list. They need to demonstrate or provide us with how they kept attendance, an assessment of learning, which they can develop post. Is that right?
Also how each of those courses are different from each other, because it seems like they have common things in each other. So if somebody has taken one, then they take the other, then it's basically counting the same thing twice.
Yeah, so I think the specific request is that they come back and request credit for specific courses, never mind the dates that they were offered, but the specific courses that do not have duplicative information. So a shorter list.
Actually, they can't, because each of the individual presentations, I mean, if you want to do it by presentation, you can, but you can't do it by individual person presentation because it won't be a full hour. And we have a minimum requirement of an hour.
Yeah, no, that wasn't what I was saying.
Oh, okay.
I was saying that they reduced their list that they're actually requesting credit for to not include workshops that have the same presentation in them.
Correct.
Okay, so you're denying approval of Tuesday,
It's all
April
tabling it.
21st, and the Tuesday, April 28th course. Because
Well, we don't have to do both of them. Do we have to do both of them? I mean, that's the problem. Somebody could take one and not take the other. So they're approved. You just say one person can't take the same course.
okay, this course is I can help. This course is tabled until they provide the information that the board has requested, attendance records, assessment of learning, and evaluations, and that applies to each of them. And then we can debate the specifics of how to give credit after you get the further information that you've asked for.
Yeah, that sounds
okay?
good.
Okay.
Okay, then there's no vote on number 14 Enviro because it's tabled for further information.
Correct.
About it.
So the last one,
Got it.
number 15 just came in, an LSPA course, 1,4-dioxane. It was a webinar. It was in May. It was really good. Random polling questions. So I make a motion to approve it for the requested, how much? 1 hour?
One technical.
I was,
Hold on. I can't find
noon
it.
to 1. Yeah, 1 hour.
Yeah.
1 CEU.
One technical credit.
Yeah, so that's my motion.
Okay,
This is Debbie. I'll second.
Okay. Roll call.
Any comments from the other board members or the public? So a roll call, yes, is approving it. Item 15, Millie,
Yes.
Mark,
Yes.
Deb,
Yes.
David is a yes. Gail,
Yes.
Kathy,
Yes.
Jamie,
Yes.
Farouk,
Yes.
and Greg. Did Greg respond?
Sorry, I was on mute. Yes, Greg responds yes.
Okay, so that's the 15 courses that were on the list for approval. One miscellaneous item, the LSPA has asked once again for CEU forms for course 1468A that took place.
Yep.
So they can provide those to the attendees.
Yep.
So you're able to do that?
Yep.
Okay. And then Chris said there were 3 general questions.
I'm sorry, David? David, this is Millie.
Yes.
I just have a question as it pertains to the CEUs. Can you clarify for which courses or course? So I can just put it down.
Which course was it that still needs the CEU forms?
Yes.
It's 1468.
From for February. Yep.
1468A. It took place and it's an approved course and they just need to send out the attendance forms to folks.
Right. Got it.
That was a February course you stated?
Yeah, I think so.
It was a 6-hour course held at Tyne Bond.
Yep.
Thank you.
And I don't think we need to go over the other things that LSPA wrote in about because but I'm not really sure, or if those are discussed in the board meeting. But why don't we just start with the 3 questions that came in from the public that Chris has?
Yes. I mean,
Okay, the first one is actually from Richard Stromberg, and he was just asking Beverly to respond to his email yesterday concerning board calculations of CEUs. So,
okay,
so I just
I'll take that. Yep, I got it. I'm
okay.
Richard Stromberg. I will respond to Richard if you can hear me.
Okay, great.
Yesterday's email. And on to the next question. I'm taking notes. We're good.
Next one is from Wendy Rundle. Thank you for approving all of the LSP courses. Question from the LSPA. All the courses that have been approved today, can we please have the CEUs sent out ASAP? LSPs have been waiting for them in some cases and have had their renewals held up. In addition, postponing the CEUs could cause confusion for a lot of renewals. Can you please let us know when the CEUs will be sent? Thank you.
That comes from me, and it shouldn't cause any confusion with renewals because people have gotten extensions. I'll report on that during the board meeting when we talk about renewals. I'll get the CTUs out hopefully this week. It depends on whether or not I have VPN access. We're all teleworking, and we work from the state system. So last week, as an example, I had no access to VPN for most of the week. And if I can't get to my document, then I can't do anything. And I'm supposed to have remote access, but it's spotty. Saturday, this past, I actually had to, despite COVID and the protests, actually go into the office to create the agendas because I hadn't had VPN access. I'll do the very best I can to get them out as soon as possible. And when I say as soon as possible, I'm hoping to do that this week.
Okay. Next question is from Nancy Fitzpatrick at DEP. She asks, just want to clarify with board that the NIPD's update, audit lessons learned, and PFAS, if that is further on the list, are DEP regulatory credits. Also, NIPD's course request was retroactive for the prior webinar and future for the same recorded webinar being formatted as online on-demand course.
Answer is yes.
Yeah. Nancy, the answer is yes. Let's see.
The 3 courses were just approved today. So the answer is yes, that's if I got the question correct.
Okay.
And was it that they were specifically DEP regulatory credits?
Yep. PFAS, yep. 2 Mass DEP regulatory credits. The audits, 1.5 Mass DEP credits regulatory. And then the NEPTES 1 Mass DEP credit regulatory. So yes. All 3 of them will get recorded like that, and it's great to have those, and they're easy to attend, and they're well done.
Okay, and then I have a bunch of comments from Matthew Hackman, again, on the stuff that you guys were discussing on the webinars. In addition, he says, to address assessment of learning and attendance, the courses were very interactive. There are a lot of questions provided by chat. And I guess they recorded all those questions on the webinars. So I guess a lot of the questions and interactions for those are actually recorded in the chat logs of those courses. So just FYI, he had mentioned a bunch of that for your.
Okay, and he was talking, and I just want to be clear, Matt Hackman was offering information about the Enviro course, was it?
Yes.
Yep. Okay, good. Thank you.
Let's see.
I like to just add to that and agree with it. For instance, the LSPA LNAP zone depletion course, there were so many questions, but the presenters followed up with an email with all the answers to questions afterwards. So it's really well done, very informative.
And then let's see, I have a couple of comments from Wendy. The LSPA agrees that the issues in the LSPA's April 17th, 2020 memo are not necessary to discuss today. The CEU forms are in a Word format. The LSPA has these forms that can be edited. We have sent them to Beverly in the past, and they can easily be edited. And then she said, Chris, my last question is a follow-up to the response re 1468A.
There was a question about the CEU forms for 1468A. Is that what the question is?
I think
what Wendy's saying is that she sent me templates of courses, but this goes back to the state system. So Wendy providing me with templates doesn't allow me to say, if I can't get into the state system, a template doesn't do me any good. You know, I'm trying to be clear about that, because though my access, they call VPN access, if I don't have that, the templates are no good to me. So I'm working on that with Victoria Phillips in IT, and I will get them out as soon as possible, and I'm hoping to have access this week. I don't know. I don't control that.
The CEU
and beyond that, I'm only one person doing all of these jobs, and I just ask that everybody bear that in mind.
But the CEU forms are in Word version, and do you have to be on the state system through the VPN for you to just look at what's been written and say, yes, use it, or edit the Word version and send it back?
Oh, no, we don't. We create one in our electronic filing system in the state secured system. So I understand what you're saying, that I create something from a template, but I have no place to save it.
Okay. So
I can't save it on my laptop. I have to save it in the state secured system.
Understood. So that's the end of the questions, but given that they can't speak and can only type, I think we should give it a few more minutes to see if the public has some questions. I don't think there's anything left on the agenda. Some of the stuff that the LSPA wrote has been clarified. I may have missed a few things, or it's relevant to the board meeting. But if others think differently, please chime up, because there was a lot of material there.
Yep. And this is a good segue. We can wait for a few more minutes for further questions about continuing ed before we adjourn.
Yeah,
and
I
move
do
on
have.
to-
I have a question about this audience question that says, I've never been on a platform where participants can't see each other's questions, so I wasn't sure. And the fact is, I think that's true. I have always, in this format, seen what participants are typing in, even when they're muted or whatever. I've always seen their questions. And so I do think that's something we need to look at going forward, the ability to do that.
Oh, absolutely. It would definitely make my job better.
Yeah,
The audio,
I mean, that's
yeah,
normal. It is normal to see the questions.
but the audio is
Okay.
being recorded, so they're being captured.
No,
But
it's
let me
different.
let me just say this. So to get Gail's comment down on paper, you're asking for the ability to see the questions, to have them displayed. I
Yes.
don't know what the license was that we purchased from GoToWebinar,
Okay.
because those are the constraints that we live under. It's whatever DEP bought from GoToWebinar. For instance, I had to, Victoria enlarged the number of participants because Wendy indicated she might send out an email blast to her membership. So we had to up the number of participants because we were limited, and the license we purchased only allowed for X number of participants. And Victoria upped that to 250 participants.
Okay.
So I don't know what our license allows us to do, Gail, but I wrote down that, and I do think it's a good thing that we should all be able to see the questions in real time. The open meeting law only requires that they be allowed to submit the questions, that participants be allowed in real time to participate. So we meet that bar, but I think you're right. It would be helpful for all the board members to be able to see that. So I'll work on that for the next. Go ahead, Chris.
Yeah, I was just going to say, on my end, I can basically figure out what we have the ability to do and not do, and then work with Victoria if I discover that we have to purchase some additional modules or something to make that happen. Because you're right, it's super useful, almost like having the chat function for participant attendees anyway, to submit their questions and suggestions or reply to things that are being said, and for all of you to be able to see it in real time. Because then the person who might have an answer to the question and or a reaction to the comment would know the correct place to interject that.
Right. Because, again, the attendance cert form, for example, that's addressed to me. And I would be able to anticipate formulate an answer, and everyone would have a chance to see it. I think it would make for better and more even-handed participation from members of the public, the LSP stakeholders, the continuing ed providers, and whoever, the LSPs, and whoever else is on the line.
Absolutely.
Any more questions that came in?
Nope.
Okay, well, I think it's great that we approved all these courses. They're all pretty well attended because people have time and want to keep getting the CEUs, and it's easy to do on the webinar, although it'd be great to see everyone in person. The future meeting is to be determined, and I'm joining the meeting at 2:04.
Nice job,
I have
David.
212. I have 212 on my phone.
I have 204.
Oh, okay.
204.
I have 204. We've been on the. I'm wrong. That's the length of time we've been on the phone. Okay.
Let's take a roll call and see what time we want to end it at.
Yeah, 204. Yep, you guys are right. Thank you. All right, we're adjourned and moving into the next meeting, which is Millie's.
Great. And I just want to thank David Austin for doing such a terrific job, and all of the board members and Beverly and the public to help navigate through a very long and expansive list of courses.
Can I request a 5-minute break before we call to order the board meeting?
Yep.
Sure. We will reconvene at 2:10 p.m.
Thank you.
Are
Yes.
you on the line?
Yes, I am.
My laptop went blank, and I don't know. I had everything displayed, connected to the webinar, all of that, and then it just disappeared. Do you have any idea what happened, or?
Do you still see the webinar toolbar? Or you see nothing on
No,
your laptop?
nothing. I'm gonna
Let
have to. I mean, luckily I was on the phone, so but that handicaps me in terms of participating in what's on on the screen. So I'm gonna try and.
what I'm gonna do is I will resend the webinar invite to your email, and maybe try to log back in that way.
Okay, I'm going back. I shut down my email just to. By the way, Chris, Saturday when I went into work, it took an hour and 45 minutes for my computer to load.
Oh my God.
I had to go move my car. I mean, it was an all day thing.
Yeah.
Because I guess there have been no updates since March or whatever.
Right. Right. So you got everything.
So yes, it was terrible, and I couldn't leave. But then when it says please wait loading, I mean, I didn't have VPN access. I had to stay and see if it was going to eventually load, and then I figured out that it was adding these updates. Okay, so you sent me at 2:08 this. Let's see. Thank you. But this connecting is so difficult. Like I said, the VPN access is the worst. I talked to Marty about it. Not that there's anything he could do, but
Yeah, it's one of these things where we weren't prepared as a state agency
yes,
for the online environment, and a lot of what like in our weekly meetings and our weekly BWC meetings that Paul Locke has been telling us is that we really learned a lot from EPA because they did have an online protocol ready to go, and like most of them had laptops and most of them had VPN access, and it was pretty much a robust system. And the one positive thing that's coming out about this is we're now trying to play catch up so that we can do a lot of that stuff. Like all my updates that I run, I have these big database updates that take all the EDEP stuff and distributes it to the regions. And even in the office, it takes me a whole day to run all the updates. And the only good part about the VPN is now I'm doing it like late Friday night or Saturday afternoon on my computer because nobody else is on the system.
What I was going to say, and I spoke with Rick in IT about that, and he said one of the issues for DEP and EEA is that so many users are on the VPN system Monday through Friday.
Right.
So, but that's when we're supposed to be on and working.
Right.
Yeah.
So I think we're ready to go. I don't know if it's 2:11 p.m.
Yes, it is.
So Beverly, do you suggest that we do a quick roll call just to make sure who's back from break?
Sure. You can do that.
Okay, thank you. Millie Garcia Serrano is here. Mark Richards.
Present.
Deb Listernick.
Here.
David Austin.
Yes.
Gail Batchelder.
Yes.
Kathy Campbell. Kathy? Okay, she's not present. Kirk Franklin?
Okay, well,
Not present. Jamie Smith?
Present.
Farouk Sadiq?
Present.
And Greg McBride?
Present.
Kathy's here.
Yeah. Great.
okay.
Okay, so shall we start?
Well, before we start, now, Kathy, did you bring any cookies?
No, but
Sorry.
Even
Very-
now, even now.
he wants his cookies. Farouk, I have cookies here if you want to just drive over.
Just might. Don't push me.
I'm not too far. You could ride the bike.
I know, I can walk.
Okay, so we're going to start our board meeting. We are reconvening at 2:13 p.m. on June 9th, 2020. And again,
I'm sorry, Millie, what time did you do? 13?
Yes, 2:13.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
And just again, a reminder to everyone that this meeting is being recorded and the meeting is being held in listening mode only for the attendees. But the attendees can also ask questions using the chat function. And Mr. Chris Borges is going to be monitoring the chat function so that we can ensure that
Boston Animal Control came and got it. Oh, good. And they're gonna go put it down, unfortunately. It was that fence over there.
And if the board members can mute their audio, unless you want to speak, you can certainly mute yourself.
Sorry.
Great, thank you very much. So Chris, I'm wondering if you would happen to have the agenda handy, if we can share it with everyone, that would be great.
Yes, let me find it. I downloaded all of the background meeting agenda. How's that?
Okay, so I see a little bit of a split screen. That's sort of the vision. There we go. Fantastic.
Yep. All right.
Terrific. Thank you very much. So we called the meeting in order a bit back, and then we were addressed. We had Commissioner Suberg give us some opening remarks. We then convened the continuing education meeting, and now we're moving into the announcements. Again, I just wanted to sincerely and personally extend my sincere appreciation for our DEP Commissioner, Mr. Suberg, for his engagement this afternoon, and also want to take the opportunity to thank our Executive Director, Beverly Coles-Roby, and Ms. Barbara Weish for their invaluable assistance in organizing this virtual meeting, as well as all of the LSP board members who support the mission of the board through their engagement and active participation. And thank you and welcome to all the attendants from the public this afternoon for your engagement and participation as well. At this moment, I'd like to extend the opportunity for our Executive Director to provide us with any announcements that she may have, in addition to also members of the board and the public in general. So I will turn it over to Ms. Roby. You have any?
No, I don't have any announcements, Millie. Thank you.
Okay. Any announcements from any member of the board? Okay. I know you are muted right now if you wish to unmute yourself and if you have any announcements. If not, we will continue to move forward. Okay, hearing none. And any feedback from those attending by way of the chat feature? Okay, so hearing none. I will move now into the agenda, additions, deletions, and any other changes to the draft agenda and its adoption. So just a comment that we typically have an agenda item for the past meeting minutes. And as we know, our attempt to hold a board meeting in April was derailed due to the unfortunate Zoom bomb event. Nonetheless, I would like to know, I guess, a question for our executive director to learn if we will be creating a written record from the past meeting.
Well, sorry. We're required to keep a written record. There are minutes for January, February, written minutes that I took. Those files are at the office. So until I can get in and get them and type them up, we're going to have to play catch up on those. With respect to the April board meeting, there is a live recording of that. There is a recording. This meeting that we're engaging in now is being recorded, and I'll have to figure out from the open meeting law what form we have to have them in, whether or not we can post the electronic version on the website, or whether or not I have to actually transcribe those minutes. I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know. But there's a record being kept of each meeting that we've had this year, which would be January, February, April, and June.
Okay, great. So with regards to the past draft past meeting notes for the 3 months prior to COVID, and then of course April, I just want for the record to reflect that we will await for them to be drafted, and when they're available and appropriate, we will review them and enter them into the record formally as a final.
This is Farouk. Regarding meeting minutes, with this one, this is the first time we're doing the electronic. Should we follow the tradition of having written minutes, and that's what goes into the public, or we put the whole thing up as public? These are something that should we, as a board, we should be deciding on. See what we think is appropriate, so that we can feel comfortable.
Sure. So Farouk, if I'm not mistaken, I just heard from Beverly that we need to do a little bit of thinking with regards to how to proceed with, documenting electronic emails. So we're going to give that a little bit of thought and then come back with the appropriate process for documenting the meeting minutes.
What I'm going to do, Farouk, is contact the Attorney General's office and see what the Division of Open Government requires us to do. Because just like they changed the rules for remote participation, they've indicated that all other forms of the open meeting law stand, which means that we should have minutes. Now, whether or not those minutes can be posted online as electronic, I'm not sure, but I do think we can do that. I think we can physically do it. I don't know whether or not we can legally do it. So what I have to find out is whether or not we can legally post electronic minutes instead of written minutes. Because the electronic minutes are actually a better documentation of what took place at the meeting. So it's not something. I don't know if it's something. Yeah, I don't know if it's something we can vote on, as opposed to something that's a legal requirement. So I'll find out about that. But there are minutes for January and February that I took, because those were our last face-to-face meetings. So I have minutes. for that month. It's just the minutes for April and this month.
Correct.
I don't think, and I also have written minutes from the April meeting. I don't think that we should post the recording from April. That's my sense. But
here's
you know, there's also an ongoing state police investigation into the April 14th meeting. So you know, I don't know.
Just a suggestion in terms of if the open meeting law allows us options, let's say we can have drafted meeting in paper and that could go in, or we can have the recording, and both of them are equally valid. At that point, the board may want to decide which one they would like to have. You know, and I definitely have some preference. I think others may have some preferences too. So that's something that we can decide. So if from your discussion with the attorneys, both of those are valid, then let's think about how do we want to document it and make
Right.
public.
All right.
So that's a fair statement, and Beverly's going to help us navigate through that via her research.
All right. I've got that down.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. Much appreciated there. So then circling back to the agenda, I do not have any additions, deletions, or other changes to the draft agenda, and I open the floor for comments as it pertains to the draft agenda.
Wendy Rundle has a question. Why was there no professional conduct meeting, and what is the plan for going forward to provide a status update on cases?
Let's hang on to that question because there is number 9 where I have indicated that there is a professional conduct committee report and a new complaint. So I'll answer Wendy's question when we get to number 9.
Okay.
Okay. All right. So I would like to move that we adopt the meeting minutes as they are written, the agenda, and I'm looking for a second.
Second.
What are we taking a vote on? The agenda?
Yes, we are going to be adopting the agenda as is, as written.
We normally vote on the agenda?
Well, I would like to
Not that I
codify
know.
that this is going to be the working agenda, so turning it from draft into a final, and if no vote is needed, then I'd like for that to be entered into the record.
But there were no changes.
No changes, thank you. Okay, so agenda item number 5 deals with decisions with regards to licensing of the applicants. And we have 5 renewal dockets that we will be discussing today and voting on. The first one deals with the vote on the renewal dockets, and the renewal docket number 1 addresses 6 LSPs that have completed all of the requirements for renewal. And now
Millie, hold on. Millie, I'm sorry to interrupt. Hold on one second. Chris is just putting it up. So it's up now. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh, no worries.
Yep.
So we are focusing first on renewal docket number 1, which serves to address 6 LSPs that have completed all of the requirements for renewal. And now they have a new renewal date of April 30, 2023. And I open the floor for any discussion as it pertains to the docket.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Okay, so by way of roll call, a yes represents approving, a yes on the vote. So Millie, yes. Mark Richards,
Yes.
Debbie Listernick,
Yes.
David Austin,
Yes.
Gail Batchelder,
Yes.
Kathy Campbell,
Yes.
Kirk Franklin's not here, Jamie Smith,
Yes.
Farouk Sadiq,
Yes.
and Greg McBride.
Yes.
Thank you. So moved, and we hereby approve renewal docket number 1. Renewal docket number 2 serves to address 8 LSPs that have completed the requirements for renewal within the 90-day extension. And now they have a new renewal date of January 30, 2023. So I open the floor for any discussion as it pertains to this docket.
This is Kathy. Motion to approve docket number 2.
Second, McBride.
Great. So now we'll go into a roll call with a yes approving it. Millie Garcia Serrano, yes. Mark Richards,
Yes.
Deb Listernick,
Yes.
David Austin,
Yes.
Gail Batchelder,
Yes.
Kathy Campbell,
Yes.
Jamie Smith,
Yes.
Farouk Sadiq,
Yes.
and Greg McBride.
Yes.
Thank you. So moved. We hereby approve renewal docket number 2. Renewal docket number 3 addresses one LSP that hereby requests a 90-day extension in order to renew his license. The renewal date is listed as January 20, 2020, and the new renewal date is listed as April 29, 2020, which I note has since passed. And I open the floor for discussion and clarification.
So is the new renewal date 2020 or 2023?
So that's a
would be
clarification.
2020. It would be 2023.
Thank you.
But the person has requested a 90-day extension.
Yeah, so I
And
think
so
he would get,
So
he
the,
would get,
go ahead, Chris.
well, he would get thrown into the category where anybody had requested a 90-day extension during the COVID issue automatically got extended out to August 18th.
Right.
Because that was 90 days after the governor said we were going to basically be back in business, and that's not the case now. But anybody during the last month who had expiration dates of April 29th, I extended out until the 18th of August
August 2020.
of 2020.
Yes.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which is why this is sort of a consequence of the COVID-19.
Yes, and I have a question from Lisa Camp. I would like some clarification on license renewal in light of automatic extensions for 90 days. So does that mean if we need a renewal extension but could not obtain the 36 credits in time, we can get an extension renewal 90 days after state of emergency? I was not able to get the 36 credits as of 4/30 due to course cancellations, postponements due to COVID. And that kind of segues into what I just said. Technically,
Right.
if anybody's renewal date was August 30th, I extended out till August 18th of 2020.
Correct. And I think this is always a case by case. So
Yes, yes. I ran a report and I had a list, and I think I got everybody. But if anybody, yeah, especially attendees listening, are still having, your renewal date was in April and you're still getting any error messages on EDP, you can just send me an email and I can get into the system and update your renewal date. It's just christopher.borges@mass.gov.
correct.
BORGES.
Yes, sorry.
No. And yes, all licenses, Lisa, were extended until August. Driver's license, everything was extended until August because all those offices are closed. Now, to Millie's point, there are some folks who, if your renewal was due in January, I mean, it's a quarterly renewal. If your renewal was due in January, you don't get the benefit of the extension. The extension is for the quarterly renewals that were next due April and July.
Mhm.
So January, that was due, January renewals were due, and I'm addressing this issue. January renewals were due 30th. So those folks didn't qualify for an extension because the COVID emergency wasn't declared until March.
So,
So the
clarified question.
April folks. Yes, Mark.
This is Jamie. So when
Jamie, sorry.
The folks that were automatically extended until August, are they eligible to apply for a 90-day extension as of that date in August?
Yes. We're going to accommodate everybody that we can during this crisis.
I
So
think that would be
if
helpful.
there were people, because COVID started in March, the declaration of the state of emergency. So people who had a renewal date of April 30th may have been anticipating taking courses in March. And so, they get that benefit. Yes. And so we're going to allow them until, some date in August to qualify for the 90-day extension.
So this is Greg. Back to the renewal docket number 3. This individual on that docket does qualify for the extension of the 90 days?
Yes, and his I already processed him, so his renewal date is 8/18/2020.
So Millie, do you want a motion with the revised date?
Yes, I'm actually, I apologize. I'm actually trying to pull up my double monitor here just to affirm that, in fact, I just want to take this opportunity to note that if you go into the License Set Professional Board's webpage, Beverly worked with the folks involved in updating the actual webpage, and there is a banner that speaks to the extension of LSP renewal dates. So there is further guidance where our executive director, working with IT and others, has actually successfully included. So that's available through .gov.
Yeah, and thank you. And that's been up since April.
Yes, it was updated.
That COVID notice has been was posted in April. So
Right.
just to circle back and make sure we clarified everything in case we have other questions. Licenses that expired on January 30th, 2020 did not qualify for the COVID extension to August. Anyone whose license expired April 30th, 2020 had an automatic extension until August 2020. Anyone who requested or is requesting a 90-day extension and their license expired April 30th or July 30th will get that August extension.
That's
And
correct.
let me just, and I want to give a little more information about this because we're not allowed to go into the office. And what has happened is that things are being mailed to us, and Barbara Weiss very bravely goes into the office on most Thursdays. She didn't go in last Thursday. because of the protest. We weren't allowed, the building was damaged, we weren't allowed in. So anything that's mailed only gets reviewed once a week. And again, the January 30th, no extension. The April 30th, there are about 20 LSPs that were included in the April 30th renewal. And so those were the extensions Chris was talking about. Now, I guess we should finish with the renewal docket because I had something on annual fees.
Sure, that sounds great.
One more question from Wendy Rundle. Please ask the board this question. The website notice doesn't explain any of the nuances that have just been discussed, e.g. the August 18th extension date, et cetera, et cetera. So I guess the basic question is, you know, I went in and updated everybody for April, May, June, and July, and I guess that wasn't, those other months weren't explained, I guess, on the website. So people who had expiration dates in May, June, and July didn't realize that their 90-day extension renewal requests just have to be in by August 18th, and they should have all EDEP access until August 18th, 2020.
Sure. So basically what I would say is I heard what Commissioner Stuberg said today loud and clear. And things like, for example, where we have IT and involved with posting of information that the board would like to see on the webpage for the benefit of the LSPs. We certainly can do a little bit better job, and I'd be more than happy to make sure that working with Beverly and others, we can further use the banners which are already there just to extend out the information, seeing that we're still in June. And
no, there are no renewals in May. So I'm not clear exactly what we're talking about.
Well, what I'm talking about is the notion that we have LSPs that, for the most part, effectively have been addressed through July. And, you know, we're using this meeting to articulate that. But if there's a need to rephrase or clarify that in an already existing webpage, as per the commissioner, we do have the opportunity to also use the currently existing banner to make that noted.
Yeah, I guess the initial notice on the website mentioned the April renewals, but didn't say anything about any other month. And to my understanding, and what we just went over now, all, you know, if you had a renewal date up through July 30th, you automatically got extended to August 18th. And the question was that that wasn't reflected, that nuance wasn't reflected on the website, on that banner.
Oh,
that's
July. Okay.
Right,
so
right. Yeah,
I can add, so I can add July to the website. I'll do that. Yeah.
That would be great. And I think that's great service to everybody involved. So thank you for the suggestion, and thank you, Beverly, for acting on that.
Yeah, and Beverly, if I have, I should check this. I used to have access to the web design tools. So specifically,
well, Michael Orcutt is working with us on that.
Okay.
But if you so as not to take up the board members' time, I'm going to call you, Chris, and because we have to work with Barbara also.
Okay,
so,
that sounds good.
We'll work on the website.
Okay.
It sounds like it only needs July 30th to be added to what's already there, but I'll take a look.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I think it would be helpful to just basically say anyone who has an expiration date up through July 30th.
Yep.
because I mean that's the general question that even like I said, you don't specifically mention May because there aren't any May renewals, but if you just say everybody up through July 30th, I think that would answer a lot of questions for people.
Yep, I agree.
We planned on being back at work before that. That's why it's not there. Who knew? Okay.
Right.
Okay, terrific. So we still need to act on renewal docket number 3. And again, I move to approve renewal docket number 3, and I need a second.
Actually, I still have a question about this. So, Beverly, you said that the January renewals were not eligible for the extension. This looks like a January renewal. So, is this like a request that was actually received by the board months ago, or
I have no idea because Barbara prepares this. I don't. And she goes forward.
Technically, the 90 days has already passed too.
Right.
No, but he'll be taking courses in March, right?
But he may have gotten paperwork into Barbara on one of the Thursdays when she went in, and that's why. But let me check on Mr. Bukowski.
I'm almost positive that I received an email
From Barbara?
well, if it wasn't from him, it was probably from the LSPA or the help desk, because he had explained to them that he had gotten this 90-day extension, but was unable to take courses to complete it by April. And that's why I went in and moved him to August. I remember seeing his name months ago.
Yeah, but the help desk and the help LSPA and the help desk don't maintain the records. So I have to check with Barbara. And I have to say that Barbara wouldn't have put him on the docket for renewal. I think that the date is wrong. But Barbara wouldn't have put him on the docket for renewal unless she received both payment and paperwork. You see, there are two components to this, because it's not just that people can complete the application to renew their license. We also have to hear from revenue that they have a check that posted and was paid. So Chris, if you remember that, I'm going to have to check with Barbara.
Yeah, I got a flood of emails right around the April 30th deadline. Right. So yeah, I was in Epics for 2 days straight updating people's dates. And yeah, I wrote down I have a whole printed out list of everybody that I updated, and he's on that list. And like I said, I did that like beginning of May.
Okay. Well, Barbara must have received some paperwork on him because she creates the renewal docket. So,
this is Greg. Can I ask a question?
Yep.
Yes.
Yes.
So isn't the grant of an extension based on a request for that extension before the renewal date?
It has to be, yes.
Yeah, so we would presume that he got these materials in before January 30th.
Mr. Bukowski requested a 90-day extension before January 30th.
Thank you. That's all I wanted to clarify.
So he must have gotten his documents in. Okay, so if his license expired on January 30th, and he requested a 90-day extension, which we know that he did because he's here, his new renewal date would have been April 29th. So by April 29th, he would have had to have submitted the additional credits that he was lacking. Because his date was April 20, his new renewal date was April 29th, Borges was able to grant him an extension until August.
Right.
Thank you,
And
Ms.
Thank
Duncan.
Because then he fit within the COVID. You know what I'm saying? Am I being clear a little bit? His
No,
new
yeah,
it's
renewal
completely clear
date was
now.
April 29th, so he should have gotten everything in by April 29th. But whether he did or not is irrelevant because of COVID. So that's how Chris was able to give him the extension.
right.
Got it. Thank you.
So you
Yeah.
you can go ahead and vote yes or no on Mr. Bukowski.
Yes. Thank you for clarifying that, noting that COVID hit like around.
Sorry, it was a little tricky to sort out, but he wouldn't have been on both Chris's list and Barbara's docket if he hadn't, gotten the extension until April, which threw him into the COVID. So he's good.
Thank you, Beverly. So we are poised to vote, and a yes vote is to hereby move forward with approving this renewal docket number 3. Millie Garcia Serrano, yes. Mark Richards,
Yes.
Deb Lispinick,
Yes.
David Austin,
Yes.
Gail Batchelder,
Yes.
Kathy Campbell,
Yes.
Jamie Smith,
Yes.
Farouk Sadiq,
Yes.
and Mr. Greg McBride.
Yes.
Thank you. So moved. We hereby approve ARD number 3. Renewal docket number 4 addresses 2 LSPs that have completed all of the requirements for renewal and now have a new renewal date of July 30, 2023. So I open the floor for discussion.
Motion to approve docket number 4.
Second,
I'm looking for that. Yeah.
It was on the
All in
second page of the document you had up before.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
Yeah,
Bad.
yep.
and it's basically 2 LSPs that fall in that docket. Keep going.
There you go.
Yep,
Mr. Borman and Mr. McTeague.
correct. So I heard a motion. Second, is there a second?
McBride seconds.
Thank you. So by way of a yes, we would articulate being in favor of approving this renewal docket. So I will start with a yes. Mark Richards,
Yes.
Deb Listernick,
Yes.
David Austin,
Yes.
Gil Batchelder,
Yes.
Kathy Campbell,
Yes.
Jamie Smith,
Yes.
Farouk Sadiq,
Yes.
and Greg McBride.
Yes.
Thank you. So moved. We hereby approve ARD number 4. And the last and final renewal docket number 5 addresses 1 LSP that is hereby requesting a 90-day extension in order to renew her license by October
I'd like
20.
to chime in that I did not request a 90-day extension.
How
Well,
did that happen?
Kathy, I need to talk to you because there is some question. Barbara wanted me to review the documents that you sent because she thought that you were 0.5 of a point short or something like that. I didn't have, you sent the documents to me and then I had to send them to Barbara. Barbara sent them. So on Monday, yesterday, Barbara asked me to take a look at them. So,
Okay, I have another credit that was going to be approved today, so I
okay, well, that's
we can
why you
just-
were short.
yeah, we
So
can
that's
just
why,
defer
so
this.
hold on. So that's why you're on the 90-day docket, because Barbara added up the credits and found that you were short, so we couldn't approve it. That's why we put you on the next best thing, the 90-day extension.
Well, isn't it automatic till August anyway? If she's in the July cycle?
Well, she submitted her document, so she wants to be approved. So yes, she is automatically approved, but she submitted her document. So we reviewed them. We paid her fee. We got the fee. So the one thing I can say is, Kathy, if you were short that credit or whatever it is, send it to us. As Jamie has noted, you're good until October,
August?
but you can get it to us before then, of course.
Okay.
So that's why you were listed on the 90-day list. But again, you know, you have until October, and because you got everything in early, and you're all set if they vote to approve. Except for you, you can't vote.
Right.
Okay, that's
Okay.
fine.
Yeah.
Carry on.
Yeah,
Kathy,
yeah,
you
you can't.
abstain from the vote, but you still want for us to move forward with the voting.
Sure.
Okay. So we are moving forward. I move to approve renewal docket number 5, and I'm looking for a second.
Second, Farouk.
Great. And by way of a yes, we would go in favor of this particular action. So Millie Garcia Serrano, yes. Mark Richards,
Yes.
Deb Listernick,
Yes.
David Austin,
Yes.
Dale Batchelder,
Yes.
Kathy Campbell is abstaining.
Abstain.
Okay. Jamie Smith,
Yes.
Farouk Sadiq,
Yes.
and Greg McBride.
Yes.
Thank you. So moved. We hereby approve ARD number 5.
Yeah, I just want to say, I think Kathy is officially recused, not abstaining.
Okay.
Yeah, that is correct. Kathy is recused. She's not abstaining. Because abstaining means she could vote. Recused means she can't.
I'm recused.
Yep. Duly noted.
I have to think my vote
Duly
again.
noted.
Thank you, duly noted. So now we move into the application review panels, number 307 and number 308, and I'd like to turn it over to Beverly Roby.
Okay, I don't know how you want to handle these. I know a couple of things. First of all, we have application panel, excuse me, 308 to assign, and then 307 to review. Now that went out, I believe, in January, so I don't know whether or not you want to review these online at this public meeting, because we haven't had a chance for the ARP to meet separately and have a discussion.
Correct. So I wanted to understand the status of 307. Again, you're absolutely correct. Debbie and David currently formed the panel, and Mr. Smith formed the panel for the review of the ARP number 307. And if they need additional time or an opportunity to confer, we should probably table discussion until the next time that we get together.
Beverly, can we do a conference call at a scheduled date in the next week or so to have the meeting and then present at the next board meeting?
I think that works. So for application panel 307, which is Mr. Coate and Ms. Harvey, I will set up a conference call with Deb, David, and Jamie within the next week to make a decision on whether those applicants are qualified to sit for the exam. If those applicants are on the line, just for their knowledge, the exam will not be offered until we figure out a way to do it. So they're not going to be penalized or excluded in any way from the next offering of the LSP exam. So I'll schedule, that's for 307. For application panel 308, there are 2 names. Ms. Elliott may be on the line, but Mr. Brochu is a reapplication. So typically what we have done is have the same people look at the application, the reapplication. So I don't know, for discussion, I don't know what you want to do with respect to assigning 308.
So do we have, I'm sure you may have the actual board member that reviewed the prior application?
Yes.
Mr. Brochu, so perhaps we can also confer on that next week.
Okay, so, excuse me, the brochure panel will also get a bonus application with Mr. Elliott.
Mm-hmm. That would be my recommendation if okay by everyone.
And the next time Barbara's in the office, she'll send out the actual paper application. She'll scan and send them out as usual procedure.
Okay, great. So we will reactivate the prior panel. Okay, moving on to other licensing related matters. At this time, I'd like for Beverly to please provide the board with a discussion with regards to the annual fee report 2020, the quarterly fee report for January, April, and July 2020, and also a reporting on the total number of active LSPs.
Okay, so on annual fees, those were due March 1. So they were not subject to COVID. As of April 7th, we had 51 LSPs who had not paid their annual fee. And letters went out to those 51, and I don't know what the number is as of today for those 51 and whether or not, because at this point, I think they're subject to having to earn their credits and get back in. I'm sorry, pay the fee to get back in. So I know that Barbara sent out letters to those 51 in April. I just don't know the results of how many are left out of that 51. Typically, this is when we get our retirements and things. People notify us, so I'm just not sure out of the 51 because of COVID who hasn't paid.
Okay.
The January fees. I'm sorry, the January renewal. There was, as we discussed, there was no extension granted. The April 30th renewal, there are approximately 20 LSPs. Those bills were mailed February 28th, 2020. I do not know how many of those 20 LSPs have failed to renew. These things are kind of hard to keep up with because Barbara's only in the office checking the mail once a week.
Yeah, and we appreciate that. We really do.
Yep. So I will have at the next meeting more information on that. The other thing coming up, we did not know we were going to be out so very long, are the next set of renewals we've already kind of discussed is July 30th. And I don't know whether bills have been created and Barbara has sent those out already. We typically send those out. She typically sends those out 30 days, 30 to 60 days before they're due. So I don't know whether or not the bills have gone out. The invoices are created by EEA. So there are a whole lot of, and it goes, Barbara sends a list to revenue, Mass DEP revenue sends a list to EEA. The bills are then sent back to revenue. Barbara mails the bills to the LSPs, and then they respond. So it's a really not a complicated process, but a process with a number of steps. But those licensees are good and valid through August. So we'll get that sorted out.
Okay, great. And just to reaffirm that we have, as of June 5th, a total of 486 active LSPs.
Oh, no. Actually, Barbara changed that yesterday, and I have the correction. It's 485.
Okay. So we are correcting the record to say that 485 LSPs are currently listed as active LSPs. Thank you, Beverly. Much appreciated. I'm going to pause for a minute to see if we have any comments from the audience.
Not yet.
Okay, so.
Yes, we're going to move on to the exam committee report, and I'd like for Beverly to provide us with a discussion regarding the most recent effort.
There have not been any meetings of the exam committee since February. So I don't know how we can work on the exam during COVID. There just wasn't a way to get that done. So I think that the committee can try and strategize and see if we can do a virtual meeting. But our last meeting was in March. I'm sorry, in February.
I on the exam committee note, I have all the questions that we were reviewing because I have my work laptop with me. So if we needed to, I could always do something along the lines that we're doing now and share my screen, and then people can have a virtual discussion and we could at least get through some more of the questions. So just putting that out there.
That sounds great, Chris. So excuse me, I'll send around a notice for an exam committee meeting, and then we can work out the details of whether we use GoToWebinar or how we display the questions or what we do.
Okay.
So I'll send out an email. I'll schedule a meeting.
Thank you, Beverly. Much appreciated. And thank you, Chris, for just your tech savvy and providing us with what we need to move this forward. Thank you.
No problem.
Thanks. Okay, so this is basically a reiteration of the Continuing Education Committee. I think to expedite things, I'm going to turn it over to Mr. David Austin so he can respond to agenda items 8A, B, and C.
So everyone was in the Continuing Ed Committee meeting. And we approved, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 courses, and 4 or 5 were either denied or tabled. I think that's correct. And we had some questions from the audience. and we had a discussion about getting CEU forms for completed courses and all the ones that were just approved. And that was it. Next meeting is to be determined.
The board members have to vote the recommendations of the committee.
Yes.
Yeah, motion to approve the recommendations of the Continuing Education Committee.
Second, this is Gail.
Great. So by way of roll call, we are saying yes to affirming the approval. And so Millie Garcia, yes. Mark Richards,
Yes.
Deb Listernick,
Yes.
David Austin,
Yes.
Gail Batchelder,
Yes.
Kathy Campbell. Miss Kathy Campbell. Maybe she's on mute.
Yep, yeah, I'm a yes.
Sorry. Great. Mr. Jamie Smith,
Yes.
Farouk Sadiq,
Yes.
and Greg McBride.
Yes.
Thank you. So moved and approved. Okay, great. So we had in prior discussions at the onset of this meeting, someone, I think it's Ms. Rundle, touch base on agenda item 9. And I hereby extend the floor to Ms. Beverly Roby to proceed with Professional Conduct Committee and new complaint.
All right, so I'm just going to talk a little bit about the Professional Conduct Committee, and then we can address Wendy's question. First of all, we have a new complaint received from a member of the public. It will be docketed as 2003, I believe. Yes, 2020-03. And so I'll have to make a determination as to whether or not we screen it out at the administrative level, whether it's a fee dispute or not, and it will be presented to the board for a screening committee or assignment of a CRT at the next scheduled board meeting. The same with respect to minutes applies to Professional Conduct Committee. Those minutes, my notes are in the office. We didn't have a Professional Conduct meeting on April 14th, as you know. But until I can get into the office, the minutes are just going to be tabled. But I think Wendy has some questions here about the Professional Conduct Committee.
Yeah, she had just wondered, let me get to her question. Where is it? I think she was just wondering when we were going to discuss the conduct committee issues.
Conduct.
Yeah.
You know, that's difficult because those are physical files.
Right. Yeah. Sorry. What she said is, why was there no personal conduct meeting, and what is the plan going forward to provide a status update on cases? So that was her official question.
Well, like the court, everything with respect to professional conduct has been shut down. Those are physical files at the office. There are interviews of people, investigations that we have to conduct. I'm just not sure how we're going to get to that. We're not going to have a meeting in July, so I plan to do some strategizing about professional conduct to see how we can get the cases moving. But I don't know. Those files, like I said, are in the office. Saturday, I was at work in Boston because it was an emergency. I'm not going to be going into the office. I can't. So we've got to figure out something. I just don't know what yet.
And Wes asks, have complaints 2020-01 and 02 been accepted by the board?
Yes, they have. They
Can
have
you-
not moved forward. They have not moved forward because we're at the investigatory stage. Just as COVID hit, I was scheduling. I had sent out notices for interviews to all of the percipient witnesses on both of those cases.
Chris or Beverly, would you kindly please repeat the complaint numbers again?
20, sorry. Go ahead, Chris.
Yeah, he specifically asked 2020-01 and 2020-02.
Thank you.
This is Debbie. I guess I don't recall seeing those complaints and voting on them.
I didn't hear you, Deb. It was muffled.
I don't remember seeing those complaints and voting on them. Maybe it's just a time lapse, but I don't recall that.
Yeah, it is the time lapse. Those are two complaints against two LSPs that arose out of the same set of facts. Does that help you recall?
I recall that, but was there actually did we actually see a written complaint?
Yeah, I don't think
you did. No, you didn't see a complaint because if you recall, these two cases are involve electronic records and such.
Yes, I for the case, but we don't see a written complaint on those. It's a different.
So I think it goes back to the question as to whether these have been accepted by the board, and I think we still need to further deliberate on that and get the actual details on those cases.
Right, and that was what I was to flesh out through the interviews that I scheduled.
Correct.
So there's no. So let me try and specifically address Wes's question, and he can follow up if this isn't clear. So Deb, you know which cases we're talking about now, yes?
Yes, I do. I thought you said that we approved, and that's what was my question.
Okay. Well, if I said that, I misspoke. The board was waiting for me to conduct the interviews of the percipient witnesses before it went any further.
That's correct.
But, well, that's all I can really say about it. There has been a little progress in the investigation, but I've had to ask for help. So that's all I can say about it.
Thank you.
But to be clear, they have not been accepted. Those two cases have not been formally accepted by the board. But there is an ongoing investigation.
And I just got another quick question from Wendy. Okay, so if Beverly is not going into the office, as she just said, should we not expect the CEU forms, or does Barbara do those when she goes in?
I do the CEU form, and I think, let me make this clear for Wendy. I'm supposed to have access to all my documents here at home. Barbara has nothing to do with the continuing education form. Nobody has ever received a form from Barbara, only from the continuing ed coordinator or me. It's all dependent on whether or not I have access here at home. It's not that I'm not going into the office that's the impediment.
Okay, any more comments, questions? So I would like to move forward then with item number 10, which is other business. And if Beverly can speak to items A, B, C, and D. And specific for B and C, I guess my question is whether we will have Ms. Rundle weigh in on those instruments. So it's just a question.
Okay, so personnel budget and fees. I am now working with EEA on staff vacancies because they have to get me some help. And I think they understand that there's been no general counsel since 2014 and no continuing ed coordinators since 2018. So, like I said, I'm working with EEA on that now. Maybe we'll have some progress. That's personnel, budget, and fees. The budget is due in July unless the governor has extended that deadline. And so, excuse me, we haven't worked on the budget yet, but the board basically has level funding from year to year. So we get about the same amount every year. I'm expecting that because in talking to the commissioner, the governor has not yet said that they're going to be budget cuts. So if the state budget is cut, LSP budget will likely get cut. If the state budget level funds Mass DEP, we'll get the same amount that we got last year, which was that, and I don't want to misquote. So that's down the road. We've already covered 10D, which was remote participation, so I'm not going to go through that again. If everybody was just looking at that document to make sure we're in compliance with the open meeting law. And as for B and C, I think that Wendy should be able to address. Those are her communications, so she may want to get the discussion going.
Real quick, Wendy had a couple of comments. Has the LSP board considered forming an advisory committee for the board hiring so that it is not Beverly alone? And then she also said that may also be helpful in getting EEA support. And I think the EEA support would also help with your getting support for your in-home access to files.
Well, thank you, Wendy. I've already thought of those things. And I just said that EEA is working with me on the vacancy. Now, with respect to hiring and an advisory committee, that's not in the plan. There's not going to be any advisory committee. I don't know why Wendy's raising the issue that it's just me hiring, because it's not just me. Mass DEP has a process that we go through, and every interview is conducted by a panel of not just me. The questions are submitted. Everything is a formula. It's not just me. And there was never an advisory committee when anybody else was running the board with respect to hiring. I choose who gets hired for the board. That's in my to work for the board because they work under my supervision. It's in my job description. But to answer the second part of Wendy's question, I am getting help from EEA. And there was a third thing she asked. What was the third thing, Chris? She asked about an advisory committee, and I said no to that. And she asked about EEA, and I said I have EEA support. I'm actually, I just met with them last week.
Yeah,
And there was a third.
well, the only other thing was about you not going into the office, and she had asked what the impediment was, and I said VPN access so that you had access to your files at home, and that was through Mass IT. And then she just said the LSPA thinks that involvement of LSP board members would be helpful.
And what? Involvement in what? In the hiring or?
I'm not sure. I just
Oh, okay.
reading.
I can't. Yeah, I can't answer that because I don't know what she's talking about.
And I think we just need to have a lag time because if she's typing clarification, so anyone who's typing up clarifications, and if not, we can.
So we can certainly wait. We want to make sure she gets her question in.
And Beverly, just if I missed this, I apologize. But in terms of the hiring, where things had left off was the candidates that you had in place had taken some were no longer available. Is that right?
I had two candidates that I offered a job to for the general counsel position and for the continuing education coordinator position. By the time we got, because I have to not just interview, but send out the letters and do all of that myself, the person had already taken a job. On the continuing ed investigator position, the person withdrew their name for personal reasons. That was a whole different market that we were looking at with respect to hiring before COVID. And a lot of firms have laid off and furloughed people. So I expect, and I've talked to EEA administrator, human resource personnel about this, I expect that things are going to be different. EEA is also going to assist me with recruitment and some of the other things that are involved with hiring. But I've completed every hiring. There have been 3 different hiring packages for each of the positions. So on 6 separate occasions, I prepared all the documents. The positions have been posted. People have applied. There have been interviews. We just haven't been able to hire.
So are they posted again now, or when are they going to be posted again next?
They'll be posted this summer.
Yeah, Wendy just responded at the last LSP board. At the last meeting, LSP board members offered to help spread the word and post the position. Wait, and there's more. March 31st, LSPA memo. As the commissioner has offered posting on the LSP board website, the LSPA urges that to occur on the following topics: extension of licenses, EDEP access, and what to do if access fails, future meetings, any other FAQs that have come in during this time. The LSP board has been silent to stakeholders, and there are lots of questions.
Well, I think as chair, I can definitely tell you that we are committed to populating whatever information is necessary and deem appropriate on the webpage. So we are in this together, and we certainly want to ensure that there is no silence by way of communication. So, I'm following the guidance from our commissioner, which basically said we do have at least a portal that will help us work with any potential questions and data gaps or void. At least we'll have, the necessary information that you're seeking, Wendy, on the web page, on the banner.
Okay, so yeah, so let me. Okay, that's one issue. And let me what was the second issue that she had? Millie just did one.
I think the future meeting, FWAX.
Yep.
Oh, okay, I've got it. So when LSPs pass the LSP exam, and I believe this document is up on the website, how to register for EDEP submittals. There is a handout that goes into their packet along with their certificate on what to do, and this came from EDEP.
Yes, I was one of the people who helped write that document.
You're right. Chris Borges drafted that. And every newly licensed LSP gets a copy of that document. That document is, I believe, I will check, and if not, make sure that it's there. It's also on the website. So LSPs calling the LSTA and calling the help desk, and there is a protocol in place that Chris Borges from EDEP drafted, and LSPs should have that. Like I said, they get it when they pass the exam, and I'll make sure that I believe it's on the website, but if not, I'll make sure that it's there, because there is guidance for how to deal with EDEP.
Yeah, I think it was.
And this one last thing, and then Chris, you please go ahead. And EDEP, we are a symbiotic. We have a symbiotic relationship. EDEP can't change anything without hearing from Barbara Weish that both fees, because there are two parts to everything except annual fees. Renewing your license requires not just forwarding the document from the continuing ed and the application itself, you also have to pay your fees. So if you're locked out of EDEP, it may not just be because we didn't get your documents, it may be because you didn't pay. A lot of people are still sending their still sending their application to the lockbox despite the instruction. But go ahead, Chris.
Well, the other sticking point that I think LSPs sometimes don't understand is that the LSP board database, which lists as LSPs as active and their current expiration dates and or renewal dates, is separate from the EDEP EPICS database. It's a totally separate database, and I need to go into that to make changes so that submittals can happen. So yeah, if I'm not notified that someone's renewal date needs to be changed, then even though, because I get this email a lot from LSPs where they'll say, I look up online and it says that I'm active, but I can't submit to EDEP. So then I have to go in there and make sure via the LSP board that the new expiration date is in fact correct, and then I can go into EPICS and correct the date. And once that happens, they're able to submit. The other big thing that we see a lot is the one piece of paper that LSPs, after they pass the exam, they have to send in their proof of identity form. There's a little checkbox in our database that says, proof of identity accepted. Until we get that, even though you passed the exam and technically you are an LSP, you won't be able to submit to EDEP until we get that notarized proof of identity form. And that's what sometimes new LSPs don't realize. So, 2 weeks after they pass the exam, I've gotten emails from brand new LSPs who say, it's not recognized me as an LSP, and we'll have to respond to them. You need to submit your proof of identity, and that's in that document that Beverly, you were just talking about, and that's for new LSPs. Usually, once they submit their proof of identity, it goes smoothly. But one of the other problems that happens is if LSPs go into their profile on EDEP and they click on their proof the wrong way, it cancels the proof. And we've had that happen a lot too, where a totally legit LSP has total rights to be submitting to EDEP, but because of that interaction, the proof gets shut down. In that case, again, they'd have to contact the EDEP helpline, because that's me and one other person. And I go in and check the proofs and check all that stuff and can correct those types of information, especially now where we are all working from home. It would have been one thing for Beverly to come over and talk to my cube and be like, "Oh, Chris, did you get that email from so and so? Can you update it?" Now, if I'm not notified, then or it gets submitted to the help desk, and then the help desk tries to do something, but technically that's not really in their realm, and they'll forward the email to somebody else, who'll forward the email to somebody else. By the time it gets to my box, it's been 2 or 3 days or sometimes longer. And I understand the frustration on the part of the LSPs, because they need to get these things submitted and there are deadlines involved. But because of all those systems and the way they work, and added now to that problem that we're all separated, I think that it's really helpful for all the LSPs to know exactly how the system works, know exactly the contacts that they have to go to, so that these problems can get solved as quickly as possible. My VPN access is pretty good. And like I've said in the past, what I usually do is sometimes I'll wait until off hours to do any kind of bulk stuff, because the traffic is much easier. But on things like that, where an LSP will say, I can't sign in, I can't submit, those I try to get to immediately and correct the situation as they occur.
Right. And there is this COVID lag, because like I said, the checks go to revenue. I don't know what system revenue is using to notify Barbara that it has received money. There is some system in place, but it's not just the board that's involved in this process. It's revenue, it's EDEP, which Chris represents, and the board. So Barbara going into the office once a week, or sometimes not once a week, sometimes every other week, delays us getting the paper documents. It delays getting the information to Chris. There's lag time. So, for example, the dockets that were approved today, I will email Barbara today and say, these are the people whose information should be passed along to Chris Borges. And that'll happen. So those people will have access. But it sounds like people need a refresher course in dealing with EDEP and reviewing this document, because Chris Borges, in drafting the document, set out everything that people must do. So again, Wendy, you're listening, I'm going to make sure that that's on the website, and you should direct your folks to that document, because it's guidance on how to, because I know that when people submit things, they're going crazy because they can't get in.
I was just thinking of something, and you reminded me of it. One of the things that I can do, and I can create a document of commonly, frequently asked questions about EDEP submittals, like for current LSPs, for new LSPs, what the problems might be, because sometimes it's on the user's end, but sometimes there are really quirky things in the Epic system itself that we have to check to make sure why this person can't submit a document. And we know them because we deal with them all the time, but if people, if they have, it might be just a good reminder, like, okay, I'm using the correct username because I can have multiple usernames and
Go
only
back
one
and
proof
make
of
sure,
identity.
and make sure, yeah, and go back and make sure that I have verified my license. Okay, so I think, so as not to take up any more of the board's time and to fully answer Wendy and the LSP questions who are on the line, Chris, let's get together and talk about the frequently asked questions and pull that together and make sure that there's a spot on the website for EDEP information on the board's website.
Okay, yeah, that sounds great.
Yep, and we'll do that and see if we can correct some of these problems. But like I said, some of it is COVID, some of it is revenue, some of it is just, being able to pull all these parts together. But I understand the LSP's frustration, so let's try and work on something that is a better fit for the licensee. So we'll work on that.
That's really great, and thank you, Beverly and Chris. I can definitely tell you as chair that I'm happy to have. I'm really happy that we had this conversation. And from the operational standpoint, I do know that speaking for the Southeast Region DEP, which I serve as regional director, the DRD for the Bureau of Wayside Cleanup has also been working with LSPs, or at least making sure that if there is a submittal that is not showing up, that COVID is taken into account. So I know that operationally, at least Southeast Region, we're cognizant of these challenges, and Flow VPN, a lot of high traffic with the VPNs. So just we're in it together. And I think having a FAQ that everybody can point to is really a great idea.
Wendy had one more question on another topic. Is the LSP board still committed to speaking to the LSPA in the fall in a webinar? We sincerely hope so. The COVID situation makes LSPs even more interested in webinars. Webinars make it easier, actually, because no travel. And one more. For future board meetings, the LSPA urges the board to meet in July, as there will be a number of credit requests to be approved, at least from us, especially with the August 18th deadline. A lot of LSPs will want assurance of their course credits.
Well,
so I
what
think
what was the first question?
Is the LSP board still planning to speaking to the LSPA in the fall in a webinar?
right,
Yep.
so Beverly,
Yep.
this is
I know what it is. I don't know what we're going to do about that. I have to worry about when we're going to fit the exam in. And, that happens in November and December. And if I don't get some help, I don't know how I'm going to be able to do anything in terms of the regulations, in terms of the prosecutions, in terms of getting the work done. I can't do it anymore. And things are obviously falling through the cracks through no fault of my own. I've just been carrying the office for 6 years by myself. So I don't know what's going to happen with, I know what the membership wants, but I can't promise. Wendy had asked about setting exam dates. We don't even know how we're going to allow people into the building yet. So how I can set exam dates, it's my preference not to set dates and have to backtrack away from them. I don't know what's going to happen.
I guess from my standpoint, this is Millie Garcia, makes me wonder, for example, if the FAQ that will be developed between Chris and Beverly and discussed with the board members, if that might be something that could be pared down into at least having basically just using that document as an interaction for the LSP membership. I mean, I can see how, just basically going through a live session for discussing an FAQ, that might be a little bit of a simpler task than potentially having a situation where we are investing a lot of time in pulling together presentations. But I do have to say that maybe what we can do is just pare down the topic and still have a presence with the LSPA, with interested parties. And again, something that might have been already developed and it's basically live, having the board members participate, or at least just on a very small, narrow topic. That's my opinion as the chair.
Well, I think these are all things that we would love to do because an informed membership only enhances the licensee's ability to do their work. It's just that we've got a lot of irons in the fire in terms of the regs, in terms of the exam, in terms of our regulatory responsibilities. So putting on, for me, that's at the bottom of my priorities list. It is a priority. I absolutely agree that imparting information to the LSPs directly from the board is important and necessary. But it's a matter of whether or not I have the physical and human resources to accomplish that. I'm still waiting for file cabinets. There is, when I went in the office Saturday, there are 2 1-foot-high stacks of documents that have not been filed since January of, maybe November of 2018, because we don't have file cabinets. Now, I've been promised that we'll get the file cabinet after COVID, but again, nothing happens until we get back in the building. Nothing like that happens until we get back in the building.
So that was just one suggestion. And then I think with regards to urging the board to meet in July, I think by way of regulation, July and December are typically months where the board does not meet, and I just need clarification, just seeing that this would be my first potential July meeting. I was not a board chair prior.
Well, the board doesn't meet in July and December because that's typically when we work on programming, when people take vacations and holidays, and we also offer the exam. So I don't know what the LSPA they've indicated they've got a lot of courses that they want approved. It's up to the board whether or not you want to meet in July. But if we meet in July, it'll be another virtual meeting, and if the board votes to do that, then we'll do that.
I think we should meet in July because we're good at this because of today's meeting, and we've missed a few meetings, and we can keep up on all of the course approval requests so there's not a big backlog, and we can vote on the APRs.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I was actually gonna suggest that absent of any regulatory citation hindering our ability to July, I do agree that this will really serve to advance all interests to move forward with material, and it might be a smaller, narrower agenda, but I think we can focus on the things that continue to pop up, which clearly are getting in front of LSP courses and credits. And we definitely want to be sure that the LSPs are provided with opportunities so that they don't fall behind. So I agree, and I think we should probably just then see if we can have a motion on the floor to connect on this one request.
So moved.
Second,
Second.
so by way of vote and roster call, let's move forward with determining if we have a fully approvable motion. So Millie Garcia Serrano, yes. Mark Richards,
Yes.
Deb Listernick,
Yes.
David Austin,
Yes. Yes.
Bill Batchelder,
Yes.
Kathy Campbell,
Yes.
Jamie Smith,
Yes.
Farouk Sadiq,
Yes.
and Greg McBride.
Yes.
So moved.
All right, now all of this is dependent on whether or not Barbara is available. Barbara usually takes time off. In fact, she's off almost the entire month of July. So I don't know if she's out. I can't do it by myself. I simply cannot do it by myself. So I'll check, and I understand that the board has voted to have a July meeting, but if I don't have help to get the packet out, so let me see what I can do about scheduling once the board picks the date.
We really
Because
appreciate it. Really. Thank you so much.
Yeah, sure.
Great.
I
So
think we should also, let's pencil in a date, like the 21st or the 14th.
No,
Tuesday.
we're going to set the schedule for 2021. That's an agenda item, and I think that we should go by the schedule.
Okay.
Well, actually, wouldn't it make more sense to check when Barbara might not be available? And so that we would have to work July around that schedule?
Okay, hold on. So we're going to set, I'm just trying to get this. So we're going to set a date in July, or you want me to find out what Barbara's schedule is, and we're going to set the schedule for August through 2021, and then I can get back to you about July, or what's your
Well, it just makes more sense to me that if you can't do it in July without her, let's see when she can do it, when she can have everything ready for us. And otherwise we wouldn't be having one in July. So it really does fall to her availability.
I think we can have a bridged one just to approve the new courses so that education or the coursework can proceed and not include everything else.
yes, Farouk. So that's the goal, and Beverly's going to help by way of discussing with Barbara if there are dates available in July, so we can move forward that agenda piece.
Yep, absolutely. I will do that.
Thank you, and much appreciated, Beverly. So with that, Chris, I wasn't sure if you could just take a last look at any chat comments that may have come in.
Yeah, no, Wendy mentioned that, yeah, these are unusual times. People want to hear from the LSP board, and there's business to be done, but you guys were just talking about that. So, and I think, yeah, you were laying out a plan that, that we would be able to hopefully get a July meeting done.
Great, thank you, Chris. Very well. So we are at almost the conclusion of the meeting, and future meetings, again, we have discussed the potential possibility of a July meeting whereby the vote, basically the board approved. Going in that direction, it's all predicated on Barbara's availability, which Beverly's going to look and check for us. And so that will remain as a to be determined item. And so without any further comments, unless we have comments from Beverly or the board or the public, we're moving into.
This is Debbie. I guess I'm just wondering what work will be done in the next months with limited staff availability and access to the office. Seems like
I'm sorry, Deb, you're breaking up. I'm sorry. Can you repeat what you said?
Sorry. I'm just wondering what work the staff will be able to do in, say, the next couple of months without access to the office.
So I heard a few things that we were going to be focusing on. You know, we have, for example, a few conference calls in response to the professional conduct, pardon me, the ARP. So there's a little bit of work to be done there. We are going to try to reinvigorate the webpage. On top of there. We're also going to be, again, acting on any incoming requests for approvals on courses. So I think even if it's a little bit of work, might not be, it's limited by our ability to get into the office, but there is a little bit of work that can actually take place by way of conference calls.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so any other comments from anyone?
I think the other thing, did you mention the exam committee as one of those things that we're going to try to look into doing?
Exactly. I think, Beverly, not to speak for you, but my notes basically say that Chris Borges was going to try to connect with Beverly and kind of show the questions that he has, and perhaps there is an opportunity to reactivate the exam committee, the subcommittee, to go through the questions and continue on their work. Okay, so anybody else? Beverly, do you have anything before we close?
Well, we have to set the meeting schedule for 2021.
Does that make sense at this point, since we really don't know what's going to be happening? And I can understand maybe trying to set August and September, but going forward long term doesn't seem to make sense.
Well, what I understood the board to say is that they want to hold a meeting in July. I also heard the board indicate that they want me to check with Barbara Weish and find out what her schedule is. I recommended that we set meetings in the typical fashion for August 2020 through June of 2021, which is what we do every June.
Mm-hmm. I agree with you, Beverly, and I think you know, that way we have something on our schedule. We clearly understand that the reason why we're state government and some private sector is working out of the house is because in our state, our leadership is data driven in the decision to reintroduce staff into the office, but there is an expectation that there's service delivery. So I do agree and support Beverly with regards to at least having an agenda that's setting the schedule for 2021, and we can always revisit if there is clearly a significant impediment to continuing to do business.
I don't see any reason not to. Gail, are you suggesting that we not do the yearly calendar?
No, I was just throwing it out there that I'm not sure how, whether it will be meaningful or not when we can't predict some things, like even how much business we have to do in a certain month. I don't mind setting a date. I just mean we can set a date, but whether it's going to mean anything, because to set a date for one item and have to gather everybody together is
I just want to remind you that there are a lot of boards that are reconstituting, and it is a challenge. But today, I think it goes to show you that we were able to overcome this challenge. And we've got a lot of boards that are really trying to move forward despite everything around us. So again, I'd like to support Beverly's idea. I think it's healthy to have something on the agenda, and it's a day-to-day situation that we will have to basically see how we can overcome the impediments, and if not, limit our service delivery. But nonetheless, there's an expectation that we will be delivering on service.
Yeah, I didn't mean to suggest we shouldn't do that. It was just throwing it out as how meaningful it might be to do that in the real sense of what's going to go on. I mean, we've always done it so that we know when a board date is. That's just the way it works. We just haven't for the last three months or whatever. We haven't known.
Right. So Beverly, I could really use some guidance in terms of how we proceed and move forward with that. I mean, do you provide us with a recommendations on dates?
Nope, I don't. The board decides. And last year, we moved the meetings to Tuesdays. I think that was at your request, Millie, because the meetings had been held the year before on Wednesdays.
Correct.
So
yes. So Tuesday seems to be the best, selfishly speaking, and I apologize for me, mainly because on Mondays it's just not workable, and I do have Wednesday commitments. So if, respectfully request that we maintain the Tuesday schedule if it works for everybody else.
Second Tuesday of the month?
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah, I'd say we just keep going with that unless there's a serious conflict.
I agree.
Great, thank you.
Me too.
all right. So that would be August 11th, Tuesday, August 11th, 2020. And these meetings will be posted on the website. And I'll send a follow-up email. September, that would be September 15th, Tuesday, September 15th.
Well, is that technically that's the third Tuesday?
Oh, I'm sorry.
But
The 8th is the day after Labor Day, though, so maybe.
Yeah.
Right, and in which case, I was going to say it's fine. I mean, because the 8th is there, I just want to make it clear it's not the 2nd. I'm fine with the 15th.
Yeah,
Right.
because the day after Labor Day,
Labor Day doesn't mean as much this year, though.
Well,
Not quite the same as it used to be.
no, it's not. Let's do the 15th. Because after a holiday, Labor Day is last holiday before some form of school starts and all kinds of other things. So I think we should do the 15th.
I agree.
Your strong objection.
That's a good suggestion.
Okay, the September meeting will be held on Tuesday, September 15th, 2020. The October meeting
13th.
Would be Tuesday, October 13th.
The 12th is Columbus Day.
All right. So you want to move the October meeting to October 20th?
No,
Tuesday.
that'll be the soils, well, theoretically, it would be the soils conference.
Right. That is the Soils Conference Week, which may go virtual. Who knows at this stage?
Yeah. We still miss it though, and I don't necessarily want to miss it. That's the point.
So
Most people don't have Columbus Day off. Let's just keep the 13th.
I'm fine with that.
I agree. It's also not the same kind of holiday as a Labor Day.
We do have Columbus Day off. That is a holiday for us.
No, you
Private
do,
sector
but
doesn't.
most people
Private sector
don't.
doesn't have it off.
Yeah,
So-
and there's no reason the day after Columbus Day couldn't still work though, right?
Can we also move
Right.
it to the Thursday? If that would make it easier for Beverly to be ready.
Exactly.
Good
So
idea.
would you like to take a pass and just move it to, say, the 15th?
Yeah.
Yes,
Yes.
perfect.
Okay.
Meeting for October will be held on Thursday, October 15th, 2020. The
Correct.
meeting for November will be held on Tuesday, November 10th.
Yes.
Mhm. Yes.
And there's no meeting scheduled for December. Moving into next year's calendar, January meeting would be on Tuesday,
12.
January 12th, 2020.
2021.
The February meeting, February meeting would be Tuesday, February 9th.
Okay.
2021. The March meeting would be Tuesday, March 9th,
Mm-hmm.
2021. The April meeting would be April 13th, 2021. The May meeting would be May 11th. And the June meeting would be June 15th.
Well,
Or 8.
it's really the 8th.
I'm sorry. Yes, June 8th.
8th.
Pardon me. June 8th, 2021. All right, let me just very quickly run through this. We're looking at July, date to be determined. The next meeting is Tuesday, August 11th, 2020. Tuesday, September 15th, 2020. Thursday, October 15th, 2020. Tuesday, November 10th, 2020, January 12th, 2021, February 9th, 2021, March 9th, 2021, April 13th, 2021, May 11th, 2021, and June 8th, 2021. I'll follow up with an email delineating these dates and make sure that it's posted on the website.
Terrific. Thank you. Much appreciated, everybody. And thanks
This
for
is
everyone.
Debbie. So what about the locations? You just add those in on a rotating
Well,
basis?
Deb, if I look into my crystal ball, I'll be able to tell you that I don't know when we're going to have a face-to-face meeting. We will continue with the GoToWebinar meeting until further notice.
Okay.
Because until it's not just me, it's DEP reopening its office, and whether or not they would allow a group of us to meet, I don't know. You know, there are 10 board members right now, and if the meeting has to be open to the public, which it has to be, we may be in webinar territory for a long time.
I understand that. I just thought, I mean, it's so much establishing the dates. I mean, nobody knows how it's going to go. That's why I was asking.
Right, so let's basically count on this GoToWebinar, and I think, Chris, you took some good notes in terms of, you know, any kind of technical features that could be added if it's needed in order for us to enhance the experience for all parties involved.
Yeah, I think if all the board members could see the questions and comments, that would be really helpful. Because yeah, I have it up on my screen now, so I kind of get a live view of both questions and just general comments. And it's a nice little feature if you all were able to see it, and that way I talk less, and that's always a good thing.
Yeah, and Victoria and I are meeting for this meeting, so we'll have a debriefing session about lessons learned.
Great, thank you. Looking forward to that. Okay, so last check-in with Beverly and the board members. Any other comments, questions?
Enjoy your evenings.
If not,
Take care.
so thank you everybody for participating and for your thoughtful commentary. And I hereby adjourn this LSP board meeting held on June 9th, 2020 at 4:09 p.m. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone. Take care.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Bye.
See you.